Yeah. I see what you mean. It's quite the irony.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, they're both rusting, aren't they?
Yes, indeed. Talking of good goals, which we were, Marcus Rashford. Not just a good goal, fantastic goal.
Oh, up there with Ronaldo's free kick, do you reckon?
Very similar. In fact, I would say better.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I would say better. Ever so slightly further out, I think, and a little bit more movement. When you see it from behind, it goes right, it goes left, it goes right, then back left again, top corner, boom.
He says it's the balls.
What, that are doing what?
Wobbling.
Oh, right, yes.
Wobbling in the air.
The balls.
Yeah, he said the balls wobble in the air.
Well, they do. And the way that he struck it, he had a very straight run-up. Did you see that kind of technique where he kind of caught the ground first almost? By the way, Kieran's just taking his sweatshirt. Have you seen his T-shirt today?
Wow.
It's got flamingos.
Okay.
It's got flamingos.
Just for the sake of our listeners, our producer here, Kieran Wellington, is a flamboyant dresser, it's fair to say.
It is fair to say.
And he is not disappointed. Our webcam viewers, because we are on YouTube, by the way. Make sure you watch on YouTube. There you go. Cop a load of that.
Look at that.
Fantastic. Good
Flamingos.
stuff. Flamingos, palm trees, the works. Almost as vibrant, of course, as the Carabao Cup.
There you go. My favourite cup.
Yeah. Derby County, because we're going to go into a load of detail throughout the show on all the Carabao Cup features, etc., and a lot more. But I want to have a chat about Derby because they had that infamous team bonding session that ended up with two cars wrapped around a tree on a motorway and a few players involved. One of them, of course, was club captain Richard Keogh.
Yeah, so you've got, just so I understand it, you've got the two that were drink driving, and then you had Richard Keogh, who was in the passenger seat. Who was getting a lift. Doesn't drive. Doesn't pass the test. So doesn't drive. No, that's right. So he was in the passenger seat. Who is the least guilty of the three? Let's do a quiz.
So of the two drivers and the one person that wasn't driving in a two-car collision?
Yes.
Probably the bloke who wasn't driving.
Yeah, and yet he's the one that gets sacked.
Why is that, Rich? Why? Just in case you're wondering, Derby County have sacked former club captain Richard Keogh after this drink driving incident in which he wasn't drinking. Well, we don't know if he was drinking, but he wasn't driving.
So he's on £24,000 a week, we believe, according to the reports. They offered him a highly reduced wage. So basically, they pulled him in and said, "Look, you can stay, but a highly reduced wage," which. Do you know what? We don't know what it was, but it could have been as little as £1,000 a week. Right. So for someone that was on 24, it could be a ridiculous reduction. Naturally, he said no, at which point they have decided to terminate his contract. He's got 14 days to respond to this. He's got lawyers involved. He's got the PFA involved as well. They're saying it's gross misconduct. It'll be interesting to see whether anything happens with the other two. Bearing in mind the other two, by the way, have got a market value of about 10 million quid. He hasn't got any market value. He's probably going to retire at the end of his contract anyway. He might have one more contract in him. Certainly now, if he is to leave Derby, which it looks like he obviously, there's going to be no way back, you would feel, from this, then I can't imagine anyone's going to pick him up, especially with a 14-month injury.
It's a brutal game, this, isn't it? He's 33 years old, and what has happened, essentially, is he's gone on this team bonding night. We don't know exactly what the score is in terms of, who knew about who was drinking what and who was putting people up to it, etc. None of them cover themselves in glory in that respect. But he ends up in the passenger seat of a car, driven by a drunk, which then crashes into another drunk. He gets his knee injury, and the club basically look at him and go, "Well, you're the least valuable, so we'll cut you loose."
That's what it appears to be. To me. And look, tell me if I'm wrong.
He's played 300 odd times.
300, right, this is the thing. Look, I get it. This night, it's going to go down as, well, it's horrendous for the club, like the PR for the club, and it could have been so much worse. The fact that in the end it was just the injury to him. I say just, it's a bad injury, but look, could have been worse. It could have involved other people. Again, how much was he to blame? Now, maybe you completely disagree with me here, and by all means, 0208 70 20 558, but it just feels to me that he's the least valuable in terms of market value. He was the one that was in the passenger seat. He wasn't driving. Technically, what did he do wrong? The only thing I've read that he did wrong was he didn't put his seatbelt on.
Yeah, look at this. Now, this statement from Derby County, and by the way, we're going to come on to the fact that Wayne Rooney is about to get involved in this football club, so... there's that, isn't there? As a result, this is the Derby County statement, by the way. Mr. Keogh has had his contract terminated with immediate effect for gross misconduct. He has the right to appeal within 14 days, so we will find out in 2 weeks, exactly what the crack is there. We will not tolerate any of our players or staff behaving in a manner which puts themselves, their colleagues, and members of the general public at risk. Well, are you sacking the others then?
Yeah.
I don't get it. What's going on here in terms of how can... Surely he can just go to a tribunal and go, "You've sacked me, but you're not sacked this lot.
So if they do sack the others, then I'll hands up and say, do you know what? Actually, credit you've that's fair. It's not fair, I would argue, but it's not that it's not fair, because look, in isolation, if this is Rich Keogh going out on his own and some of the things that happen, he gets sacked, you look at it and you say, do you know what? You've been really stupid. It's probably deserved. But they need to sack the other two now, and if they do, then I hold my hands up and say, actually, credit to you. You've been consistent. Whether we agree with it or not is irrelevant, because you've been consistent. If they don't sack the other two, there's got to be serious questions asked.
Well, there has.
Because then it's purely. It's purely business. Then there's no right or wrong anymore. It's just a case of, do you know what? You're worth some money, so therefore we're going to allow you to do whatever you want.
And he's got the damage to his reputation argument going on here, because, all right, fair enough, what he did was stupid, getting into that car, but now if he's the only one out of what is a very, very bad, dodgy bunch of people to get sacked, and he's the only one who they're saying gross misconduct and all that, then he's being made out to be the worst one. Yeah. And actually, he's got a very good case to say that he isn't the worst one in this, and if the club have made him do that and damaged his reputation, etc., etc. But how on earth can Derby justify having Wayne Rooney coming in as a player coach? This is a guy, I think only Tiger Woods has ever apologised more than Wayne Rooney. I don't understand how on earth they can say, well, Wazza coming in, a bloke who's just got a track record as long as your arm of drink and sex and affair-related stuff. What a man. What a mighty fine man.
Where are you going with this, Patrick?
Sorry, I just remembered a night out with Wayne Rooney. Which, unlike Wayne. No, but this is it. He gambles, he does all sorts. How can you introduce Wayne Rooney into this dressing room as a player and a coach and sack your captain of 300 and odd games for being in a car?
Are the two related?
I think so. It's a question of standards, isn't it?
I mean, look, I suppose without going into details of all the Wayne Rooney stuff, technically, obviously, he's done none of it. Well, this is it now. Again, Richard Keogh, let's say that he does get himself fit, then he's obviously a very good player. Now, he'll be a bit older. He won't get a championship club, but will there be a League One club that then, when he is fit,
Wayne Rooney drove. Wayne Rooney actually drove. And he had a woman in his car who wasn't his missus.
But then if it's not related to Derby, I hear what you're saying, but if it's nothing to do with Derby at the time, they're making the decision saying, no, this is an older pro, he's learnt his lessons, he's got incredible experience, he's going to come in and strengthen our unit. That's obviously what they're saying.
I'm just looking out for the best interests of the 60-year-old women around the Derby area, mate. All right? And you can't have a go at me for that.
No, I can't. That's true. Should we talk a little bit of rugby?
Yeah.
They're going for the same lineup as they went for the New Zealand game.
Right, good.
It's good news.
Sorry, you're giving me a very disappointed look.
Because we have a serious conversation, and then it's incredible how it always ends one of a few different places. We end up finding ourselves to either Rule Britannia, which you say every day.
You just reminded me of that.
Oh no! It ends up in one of the same places, and unfortunately, 60-year-old women seems to be one of those places. So England are going for the same lineup against the Springboks.
Yes, good.
It's good news.
I'm happy about this.
Their ladder, the ladder they use for the lineouts.
Oh, yeah.
£325 that cost. They actually took that from England to Japan specifically for this. And, of course, it's been very successful. Lineouts have been something they've been excellent at.
Did they do it so that they could be big in Japan?
Is it going to be one of those shows, Patrick?
I mean, look, it might be actually. Yeah, and I didn't want it either. If that makes you feel better.
I mean, it's so early. Like we're literally 10 minutes into the show. Could we? There's still time to salvage it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So
no, all right. I'm prediction, Rich, for exactly by how many points we're going to grind the box into oblivion.
We're going to win because
I think so.
Right. Part of me, and this is the superstitious part. Even though I don't believe in superstitions, this is the superstitious part of me that I predicted New Zealand would win against England, and we won, which was fantastic. So I think it's under promise, over deliver. I'm going to predict that South Africa win, so therefore I'm not disappointed on Monday when we do our show. Yeah. But when England do win, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
So for somebody who doesn't believe in superstitions, it's a little bit odd that you've got a lucky stone, isn't it?
I mean, look, are we talking rugby or are we talking...
Or do you not have a lucky stone?
I lost it.
You lost your lucky stone?
Yeah, my life went downhill for years after
mate,
that.
All right, let's not drag that up. No, look, I think England do look very, very ready, mentally more so than anything, to take on South Africa. And over the course of the show, we're going to be going into quite a lot of detail about Eddie Jones's training methods, the way this England team have prepared, and exactly how good Owen Farrell is as well.
There you go. Fantastic show to come. Do stay tuned. It's 17 minutes to 7.
This is Love Sport.
You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage.
Henna men. Pants and pads.
You're
Discreet.
leak.
Masculine.
You're in.
Secure absorption zone. Buy online or in shops.
You're in.
Tenna men. Keep control.
You're in.
No.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
How are you? How are you really? Modern life can be busy, and sometimes it's easier to look after others before looking after yourself. But there's only one you. And making small changes to your lifestyle now could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. So take the first step to a healthier you with our free How Are You quiz. See how you score and get personalised tips and support. From how to eat a little healthier to turning a 10-minute walk into exercise. Just search One You.
You probably think you're pretty good at multitasking behind the wheel. I mean, you have to multitask to drive. So what's wrong with checking your phone? The thing is, your brain simply doesn't work. Even a quick look at a message, or firing off a quick reply, affects your concentration and makes you less able to react to hazards. If you use a mobile phone while driving, you're 4 times more likely to crash. Think. Put your phone away.
This is Love Sport.
Love Sport Breakfast, Love Sport Radio, me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys. You know what time it is?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right, Mr. Chris Bailey. Bales, as we call him.
Bailo.
Hello. It's at this time of the morning, every morning, guaranteed.
Absolutely. That's one thing you know with Chris Bailey, that at this time, every morning, he will be speaking to us. Let's take it away. Let's play the music.
It's
Come on.
time for this.
Let's play the music. Yeah, come on, Kieran. Woo! Play Kieran. Kieran, play the music.
He's ignoring us, Patrick. And I can see on my screen there is no Chris Bailey on the screen this morning.
What?
Yes. Mr. Reliable is what I
that's what he says on his business cards.
Yeah. I think we can... What do we do now to get our own back?
Hashtag Je suis Chris.
Do we... I'm trying to think, if we were trying to get the ultimate revenge on Mr. Chris Bailey, is it a case of seeing who...
Probably just make him keep doing the show with us, to be honest.
Yeah, do you think? That's as simple as that.
Just call him again tomorrow.
Yeah, I can see that Kieran is relentlessly trying him, but no joy.
Oh, well.
So what I think we do is we go on his Twitter, we look at all of his followers, and we send them all a direct message.
Okay, I could be up for that.
Yeah, each one different.
And
each
just
one
say
with
Chris has been, what, like detained on some monumental fraud charge, or is that far too much?
Might be a step far, but I mean, look, he's not answering the phone, so it's, give and take.
Well, that's all we can do. I think we should
An eye for an eye.
Well, I think we should... That's definitely fun. Originally launching the Sharia on Love Sport Breakfast. Hi, okay. Up next, a reading from the Old Testament. Okay, let's do some sport.
Sounds good to me. Let's talk a bit about the games last night, shall we?
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, look, shall we... I feel like we should start with Liverpool-Arsenal, because that was just one of the most sensational games I've ever seen.
Super game.
Talk us through it, Reg.
22 changes, 2 teams that look like they didn't know each other, strangers on a field. But no, excellent. Do you know what? And it's... Look, we spoke a lot about Martinelli. I really, really like him. Very, very good. You feel like he is more than ready for the Premier League. Not a great night for my goalkeepers, if I'm honest.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen too... In fact, I saw a lot of Martinez last season at Reading, and I think he's very, very good. But it was one of those nights where there's a couple of the goals where you wouldn't necessarily blame him, but you feel, actually, I think you might have done a little bit better. Oh, by the way, I've got a feeling that our man is going to be on the phone. I can see he's actually called the station. Maybe he heard us dig him out. I don't know. It's going to be really awkward now if he does come on the line. Oh, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so... and then Kelleher for Liverpool.
Now,
not a lot know about him.
No, so I want you to talk me through this. So this is a young Liverpool goalkeeper, saved a penalty last night, essentially won the game for his team in a way. Saved a penalty from Ceballos as well, which was a decent effort. How good can he be? And also, who is he?
Very good, young lad. Irish. He could be very, very good. Last night he was okay. Obviously made the save in the penalties. A couple of the goals where he's made saves, they followed him up. You might argue that he could parry into slightly better areas. But no, generally good and certainly a lot of promise there. Right, he is on the line.
Really?
The man himself. Time for this.
It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business. It's business time. Ooh.
Yes, business. Mr. Chris Bailey, founder of financialorbit.com. Chris, before we start, have you been listening at all for about the last 3 or 4 minutes?
I haven't. No,
Fantastic.
I hear that.
Fantastic.
I hear you've been sort of stirring the pot or something like that.
No.
Has Kieran thrown us under the
maybe.
bus?
Who knows? Who knows? But I've been just lurking around basically. I don't know. Telecoms are just a weird thing.
They are. I can't believe Kieran's thrown us under the bus, Patrick.
I can.
Can you?
I can, really.
The thing is, we're like that, Chris. We're very fickle. You know, you don't answer the phone, we get really, really angry, and then we feel a bit guilty soon after. So I can only apologise. I don't know whether Patrick wants to apologise as well.
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, fantastic. Twitter to ban all political advertising.
That's right. I mean, obviously, it was a huge thing in the last presidential election in the States. In the last election here, we've had a few of them, obviously, recently. Got another one, obviously, in just over a month's time. But Twitter have said they think it's a bad thing. It's not a huge part of their revenues, but actually they think that the Twitter experience is better without all this political stuff, some of which, they feel potentially breaks rules or is just intrusive to people. By contrast, Facebook yesterday, they had some numbers out and they said they weren't going to ban it on the basis of free speech. So there's your debate, basically. If you want to avoid political adverts, Twitter's your social media zone. If you do want to love them up, go to Facebook.
Fantastic. Patrick, which way are you voting out of interest?
We're not allowed.
Oh.
We're not. Did you do that deliberately? Because I nearly told you then.
Yeah, no.
We're not allowed. We're in Purda. Yes. And if I do tell you which way I'm voting, then I lose my job. So screw you, Reg.
I'll keep trying to slip you up then if I can. Apple profits hit by slowing iPhone sales.
That's right. I mean, iPhone sales went down about 9%, but actually the numbers are a bit better than expected. And Apple shares, after they released their numbers yesterday, they went up. So they should probably once again be the world's biggest and most valuable company later today when they open up on the US stock market, just edging ahead of Microsoft. I got a question for you guys though.
Okay.
How long do you reckon? What's the average cycle now for changing your smartphone? How many months? How many months between buying one?
Well, I've just done it, and it was 24 months.
I'd say it's less. It's a year to 18, I reckon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, it's now 19 and a half months, up about 3, they reckon. And this is why iPhone sales are kind of slowing because, the world and its mothers already got a smartphone, an iPhone, or whatever type you like. So that's why Apple are focusing more on services to try to keep the party going. So far, they're doing a reasonable job on it. Watches and other gubbins like
pods.
that.
I just got the pods. They're incredible.
Are they?
Yeah. Do you know? I shouldn't be promoting products like this, but my word, they have changed my life.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh no! I mean, I don't want to make it out like I get paid money by them to advertise them on my radio show. But if you don't get one, then you're an idiot.
Just go apple.com/Richard Lee and you can find them right there. TfL criticised over Uber licence extension.
That's right. And actually, the black cab drivers might have a reasonable point here. Obviously, they've been a bit anxious about Uber and everything else, but for all very obvious reasons. But Uber, they've got this extension from the Transport for London Authority. But Transport for London had to tell them, yeah, guys, please, just verify your drivers, as part of your licence condition, which seems a bit amazing given that you'd have thought Uber would be mildly interested in who's driving for them. But hey, who knows? This is the gig economy. I guess you can just rock up and do whatever you like. But I think the black cab guys have actually got a reasonable critique here because I'm a bit surprised Uber is so lax.
Indeed. Interesting as ever. Mr. Chris Bailey, thank you.
Pleasure. I'll try to answer the phone next time.
Please do, because it was vile. It was vile, some of the things coming out of Patrick's mouth.
I don't want to ever have to say anything like that about you again,
We're like children. If we don't go our own way, we get very, very angry very quickly.
Another minute and Patrick would have broken that Purda, basically. And as for that mild, sort of advertising of some technology company, goodness only knows what would have happened otherwise.
Indeed. Chris, as always, thank you very much. Chris Bailey there, founder of financialorbit.com.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, right. So, big night in the Carabao Cup last night. Manchester United beat Chelsea courtesy of a magnificent Marcus Rashford free kick. He said it's just because of the balls.
The good times are back.
Yeah, well, okay, all right.
They just keep winning away.
No, wait. So, what was... Well, you'll know this. I'm thinking how to phrase this. What do you reckon Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's top 3 words were when he was asked how good a performance was that?
Go on.
That's Manchester United.
Right. Okay.
Classic Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah.
Well, this is Manchester United. Yeah, we know where we are, Ollie. We know where you are. We know what the badge is.
Yeah.
Actually do something decent on the football pitch.
Well, look, of course, last night being a cup game and Marcus Rashford, it's his birthday as
He's
well.
an intelligent player, actually. I've always thought this about Rashford.
He is.
He's a smart guy.
He is. They've made it to the quarterfinals. Let's hear what you thought about it.
Marcus, congratulations. A birthday tomorrow. Is that the best possible way to celebrate tonight?
Yeah, definitely 3 points is the way that you wanna start a day like tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Oh, Marcus.
Oh, Marcus, what have you done, mate? It's a cup game.
Cup game, mate.
Yeah, it's a cup game.
But, 3 points is the best way to start a birthday.
It would be.
But we're not giving you 3 points, Marcus. So.
But that's not happened.
I wonder, right?
Yeah, a holiday in Mauritius is the best way to start your birthday. I'm not getting one of those either.
No.
But, yeah.
I wonder, because there's some players that genuinely don't have a clue they're playing at the weekend. Like, and I know that from the majority of the lads I was in the squad with. They would just turn up. They'd be told where to be. They would turn up, and then the day before they'd find out who they were playing at the weekend. They just wouldn't know. So I wonder if it's
That's pathetic, by the way.
It's true.
That's shocking, mate.
But it is what it is. Ultimately, they'll train. It'll be like, right, we've got games this week. Yeah, you've got a game on Saturday. You've got a game next Tuesday. So Saturday's away. So we are travelling on the Friday night. Okay, cool. They won't care where. They'll just turn up on the Friday and they will travel. They'll get in a bus and it'll take them to a hotel. They'll sleep. They'll wake up and they've got a game.
But it's a different squad. He must have looked around and gone, this isn't the Premier League.
Ollie's made some changes tonight.
Ollie's
wow.
been radical.
He's got really young for this. He's,
wow.
I love this,
Chelsea away, and this is a child there.
Chelsea have done the same. This is
Wow.
incredible. No, I wonder if there is an element of that, or whether it was just a lack of concentration.
Right, I think both of those are quite generous. I
Yeah.
think the reality is that it's just, footballers' brains, isn't it?
I mean, look, I was an ex-footballer.
X.
Yeah.
Well, but the hamster spinning the wheel in your head is significantly more intelligent than the hamster spinning the wheel in the other people's
I
heads.
love this little hamster in my head. Let's hear from Gary Neville.
There are just signs now that they're starting to come out of it a little bit, but maintaining that momentum and keeping it going is essential. And you're always in football one bad performance and result away from sort of being on the end of the clouds gathering again. So I think ultimately, not time to get carried away, but there is promise.
What about the hamster in his head? Like a little mank hamster, like a little Oasis-style hamster.
Now then, all right, our kid. Hamster in my head. What's the weather like? Sunshine. Anyway, 17. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first game in charge on December 22nd, Manchester United have taken more penalties, 17, and scored more penalties, 12, than any other Premier League team in all competitions. This is the Daniel James effect. When that kid runs in behind, he gets taken down, United gets penalties, and I'd love to see the stat on how many times actually this season so far Daniel James has either won a penalty or had a penalty shout turned down.
And it was a penalty. I mean, do you know what? He's very, very good at falling.
He's amazing at falling. He looks a little bit like Tom Daly as well.
Yeah.
And hang on a minute. Have they ever been seen in the same room at the same time?
Interesting. You might have uncovered
I think
something
I've cracked it.
I think you might have.
Yeah.
But he does it very well because, look, even when there's minimal contact, he doesn't ever look like he's diving. He's quite clever. Like, he is diving sometimes. He has been booked several times for it, but he never looks like he's diving.
Yeah, no, I think he's a tremendous asset. You can see why Solskjaer wanted him. The pace and the danger that brings going in behind is one of the factors why United won last night.
Indeed. Positive start, Patrick. It's going to be a big show. Mega. 3 minutes to 7.
Love sport.
I'm Leslie from North Essex. I couldn't believe that after 5 minutes I'd saved over £900 on my energy bills. When my car insurance was then due for renewal, I went back to a spokesman said and reduced my premium by over £500. I thought that my home insurance was expensive. When I shopped around on a spokesman said, I saved a staggering £1,100. I've saved £2,500. I cannot believe it was that easy.
A spokesmansaid.com, fighting for you, saving you money.
Before you set off on a long journey, remember to check your vehicle. Are your tyres correctly inflated? And are the treads deep enough? Have you got enough fuel? Is your oil level right? Checking your vehicle doesn't take long, but can prevent a breakdown or accident and save you money. So, before you set off on a long journey, check your tyres, fuel and oil. Highways England, connecting the country.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
If you see somebody showing any of the signs of a stroke, you don't have to think about it, you just dial 999. Use the FAST test. F. Face. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time. Time to call 999 if you see any one of these signs. Act fast, make the call, dial 999.
Lots more breakfast. Me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys, here with you all the way until 10 a.m. Lots to come. Ben Lewis, our England rugby fan in Japan, and still no match ticket. Is he on again?
Yeah, this is the lad. So this is the lad who had a few pints and booked a flight to Japan.
Yeah,
and bought some World Cup tickets, and he's actually gone, hasn't he?
He's gone. He's got no ticket. Well, there you go. Let's see if he manages to get a ticket. Rye Hooper as well, Wolves fan cast. Of course, there was a game last night, Villa against Wolves. Didn't touch on that one, did we?
Who cares?
But Villa did win
Who
that.
cares?
Indeed. As always, you can get in touch, 028 70 25 58. It's a good job we're not national yet. At Love Sport Radio, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Or on YouTube. Why not?
On digital radio, online, mobile and smart speaker. This is Love Sport News.
From the Sky News Centre at 7, Jeremy Corbyn will kickstart Labour's general election campaign this morning by attacking tax dodgers, bad bosses, big polluters and dodgy landlords. Boris Johnson will blame the Labour leader for delaying Brexit until January. The Prime Minister had promised the UK would leave the EU today. Our political correspondent Tamara Cohen says away from the scripted messages, we'll also likely see other issues come to the surface.
I think it may be some of those political attack lines we saw yesterday. The accusation that Jeremy Corbyn would allow a second Scottish independence referendum, the accusation that the Conservatives want to let US companies into the NHS, that we'll also be hearing a lot of today.
Meanwhile, Twitter is banning political advertising on its platform. Chief Executive Jack Dorsey says it gives people and firms an unfair advantage in sending out highly targeted, misleading messages. Facebook has been urged to do the same. Conservative Nicky Morgan has become the latest high-profile MP to announce she's standing down. The Culture Secretary has blamed the abuse she's received. At least 62 people have died after a massive fire engulfed a train in Pakistan. Authorities say it was caused by gas cooking stoves being used by passengers to prepare breakfast. In sport, England have named an unchanged starting 15 for Saturday's Rugby World Cup final against South Africa. There is one change on the bench with scrum half Ben Spencer among the substitutes. Liverpool came out on top in a crazy game at Anfield last night to progress to the quarter-finals of the League Cup. They drew 5-5 with Arsenal and then beat the Londoners 5-4 on penalties. Manager Jurgen Klopp says it was some effort.
I think when a lot of people saw the lineup, it looks like we don't take the competition seriously, but it's not true. But we only make these changes actually because we trust the boys, and what they did tonight, how they played, I loved it really.
Manchester United got past Chelsea 2-1 and Celtic's 2-0 win over St Mirren keeps them at the top of the Scottish Premiership on goal difference. That's the latest. I'm Kit Bradshaw.
Love Sport.
Welcome back, Mr. Jones. How was your Touareg 48-hour test drive? Mr. Jones, I said, how was the test drive?
Fantastic, thank you.
What did you make of the Touareg's touchscreen Innovision cockpit?
Brilliant.
And the climate control massage seats?
Oh, marvellous.
How about the night vision camera?
Absolutely exceptional.
That's great. So, are you going to unlock the door?
No.
The Volkswagen Touareg 48-hour test drive. The hardest part will be giving it back.
Come on, Mr. Jones, open up.
Can't hear you.
Participating retailers only, subject to status, vehicle availability and retailer T&Cs. And 17th of December 2019.
Love Sport Radio. On digital radio, online, mobile and smart speaker. This is Love Sport Breakfast with Richard Lee and Patrick Christys.
Love Sport Breakfast, Love Sport Radio, me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you until 10 a.m. Let's touch on those top stories this morning. England take on South Africa. England name an unchanged lineup as Carl Sinclair and Johnny May pass fit. Richard Keogh has been sacked by Derby for gross misconduct. The Carabao Cup, some crazy games, a 5-5 draw at Anfield between Liverpool and Arsenal. And the FA demands Spygate answers from Liverpool. Lots more to discuss too. I want to talk about this actually, the Spygate story.
Okay.
We'll go into a bit of detail on that shortly. But there is a lot going on this morning. We've actually got a big hour. We're going to be speaking to Rob Lewis, our rugby fan in Japan. Brilliant story. I'll say it's a brilliant story. I mean, it's a concerning story in many ways, but we will have him on the show shortly. He bought a ticket while slightly inebriated and decided to fly to Japan without any accommodation or a match ticket.
Yes, and then he did buy a match ticket for the final. Great expense again. And then that ticket didn't turn up before he had to fly to Japan. So hopefully it's going to be at the stadium for him. Anyway, we're going to be getting the very, very latest from him.
Yes, we will. Rye Hooper as well will be on the show. Wolves Fancast later on.
Yeah, and there's also some updates on the case involving Richard Freeman, who was the team doctor for Sky, and Team GB in the cycling as well. He's currently undergoing a medical tribunal in relation to the administration of banned testosterone-based substances. So we'll be coming on to all of that. And we are due an Eddie Jones press conference. So we're going to be throwing over live to Tokyo shortly, as soon as Eddie Jones can muster up the strength to actually speak to us.
Yeah, indeed. We'll be doing that. There's actually the draw as well for the Carabao Cup quarter-final later on today, which I'm quite looking forward to. I think it's 9:15, I believe, or 8:15.
So we've almost got too much on, really, haven't we?
I mean, you know, we're jam-packed, which makes you wonder whether all this waffle back and forth, really, whether we've got time for it. But I love it.
It doesn't need the weather, eh?
Tell me about. By the way, what I love, although it's cold in the mornings, you know when it's the clear skies.
Okay, let's actually do some sport. Our producer started screaming at me. So, where do you want to start, Rich?
I think we start with the game last night. I'm still buzzing over the game last night.
Liverpool, this one. Liverpool, Arsenal.
Yeah, no, not Aston Villa Wolves. I mean, that wasn't a bad game. Don't get me wrong, but
Working Classico.
Yes. The Liverpool game in particular. No, it was just good. Do you know, it's good to see some different players as well. Like this is what the Carabao Cup does. It unearths the odd gem. Look, we know Martinelli's good, but seeing him again last night, every time he seems to step up, I think it's 7-7 now that he's scored. He is very, very good. I'll tell you what. Let's hear from Jurgen Klopp.
I think when a lot of people saw the lineup, it looks like we don't take the competition seriously, but it's not true. We cannot do it differently. We have to make a lot of changes. But we only make these changes actually because we trust the boys. And what they did tonight, how they played, I loved it, really.
He loved it. And he said, like, when we saw the lineup, didn't think that taking it seriously. It's like when people saw the lineup on the breakfast show here, they thought that maybe the station weren't taking things seriously.
Well, it's like as soon as I was born, actually, my dad just said, "Is this a joke?" So, you know, I've not been taking me seriously my entire life, Rich.
No. Jurgen Klopp, happy, very happy, of course. But you can tell, of course, look, he's going for the Premier League. So, I mean, even the fact that, and it was great to see Kelleher play, because he's a young goalkeeper, but it's a good example where he's not obviously first choice, he's not second choice, probably not even third choice, because you've got Andy Lonergan there as well. So
Andy Lonergan's going to be a bit miffed, isn't he?
I mean, look, I think Loners knows his role there, which is very much as a training goalkeeper, supporting goalkeeper. It was needed at the start of the season, obviously, when they had the injuries to Kelleher and to Alisson. I think now for him, the age he's at, you've got that member in every squad, that experienced pro who knows what he's doing, who can be a good influence in the changing room. So I think he knows his role.
Ozil was good last night, by the way. Mesut Ozil, for a couple of Arsenal's goals, he was directly involved in, actually. 2 lovely assists, including one where he thought the ball had gone out of play, never gave up on it, which is unlike Ozil, and then flicked it back, a deft little flick, and towards the open goal. I thought, actually, Mesut Ozil last night shone
He did. I would fully agree.
They've only given him a 6 in the paper. I disagree with that. I think you got about 7 or an 8.
I would agree with you there. I know the biggest scorers, I think Origi was obviously very, very good. Martinelli was very good. I know they were giving the Arsenal goalkeeper a bit of stick. They were giving Mustafi a little bit of stick as well. I mean, for Mustafi, it's got to be a tough one for Mustafi because he's playing in games like that. It wasn't so long ago that he was playing in much bigger games, but it just feels like every Arsenal fan has switched off him now.
Well, he scored an own goal as well,
I know.
straight off the bat. Which
Really early on. It's not the way you want to start a game.
No.
Klopp wants to quit the competition. There are too many games in December. The quarter-final is due to be a day before their Club World Cup semi-final, so Klopp doesn't want to play it. But look, and this is it, right? This is the beauty of Liverpool at the moment, is that he's able to put out 2 different teams, which is effectively what he did there. He changed the entire 11 and still made it through against a reasonable Arsenal team to make it into the quarter-final. It must be nice because he's giving these young players the opportunity to get minutes under their belt, and he's saving all of his key players, his first-team players. So in a way, they talk about too many games. For him, what does it mean? He has to rock up at another game on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. It's not the end of the world.
No, it's not. There were some key points of kind of quote-unquote weakness in that side. The goalkeeper being one of them, just because he's not quite at the level, obviously, of Alisson or anything like that at the minute. Elliott's a youngster, but you have a look at that team. Williams, okay, you could point that out. Van der Berg signed over the summer. Yet to see too much of him. But Gomez, Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Lallana, Keita, Origi and Brewster, they're not. That's not a bad side.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's not. So I think there's a little bit of a misconception that Klopp just put out the kids overtly so that they would get beaten and be out of the competition. But I can't help but wonder whether or not Klopp really kind of was almost hoping that they'd lose last night.
Possibly. I mean, if they'd went out, I'm sure he wouldn't have been upset. Obviously, we saw it last season. They dumped out of the FA Cup by Wolves, if I remember rightly, and it was a very abject display. But, of course, they ended up going on to win the European Cup. I'm sure no one really cared that they got knocked out by Wolves.
Let's just move on to Chelsea United. Chelsea 1, United 2. Marcus Rashford, fantastic free kick late on, winning the game.
Incredible free kick.
It's the technique of it. It's the knuckleball technique of it.
Yeah.
Now he says that it's the balls.
Yeah.
That allow him to do that because they're a lot lighter and they wobble through the air. Is there any truth in that compared to the balls that they use in the league?
Okay, if it's more that he's saying that the balls have changed so much over the years. Like I remember when I first got involved, it was the old school mitre balls that were pretty heavy, so they didn't move that much. They were a lot slower. A lot easier for goalkeepers, actually, when I think back, because they were heavier, slower. You saw more goalkeepers coming for crosses, catching crosses more often. Now they are lighter. And what's ended up happening, the lighter they're becoming, the more they do move. And also players have just found this technique. Rashford yesterday, great example. That technique where quite a straight run up and you almost catch the turf before you hit the ball. So you're hitting the ball on the up, if that makes sense. So rather than, if you can imagine, I'll try and describe it, but if you're chopping down on the ball, you're of course going to get backspin on the ball. If you can imagine that you're almost hitting the ball with topspin, it's like a tennis player with a forehand with topspin. It's the same thing they're managing to do with their foot. It's what Rashford did last night. Turf first, topspin on the ball. It goes up, down, over the wall, dips, swerves, moves. It's an incredible technique. There's only a few in the world that have really mastered it. Ronaldo, of course, is one that we've seen over and over. Gareth Bale is another one that's mastered it. And it seems like Rashford's got it in the bag as well.
Yeah, although the amount of times I've seen that fly over the stadium.
Yeah, I know. Okay, he's not got it to the level of Ronaldo.
The amount of times, honestly, whenever you see a free kick on the edge of the box, quite often they just send someone into the car park just in case.
Yeah.
Someone on top of one of the floodlights. It's like, it's all right, boys, don't worry, I've got keepers!
It was, for me, better than Ronaldo's free kick, though. The infamous one
against David James.
Portsmouth, where David James doesn't move, which makes it look even more awesome.
Yeah, the helpless David James. Yeah, I'm not sure it was referring to his footballing ability there, to be honest with you. Anyway, so yeah, look, decent result for Manchester United last night. Chelsea had 65% possession, and as well, if we just deal with some of the stats, Chelsea had about 300 more passes, about 300 more completed passes. They won more of their tackles, 62% compared to United's 48%, and they had a significant number more crosses and shots. So, did United get away with one last night?
I don't think so. I think the game plan was good. I think, do you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for the criticism that you give him, I think that he's actually...
Just I give him.
What?
Is that right? We both dig him out on a regular basis, mate. Let's have it right.
Fine, okay. The criticism that he receives...
Yeah, okay, all right.
via this radio station. No, look, the criticism is still there in terms of detail. Do you know what, even that afterwards, the questions come, what was that? That was Manchester United, or whatever the answer was. He loves the soundbite. I do wonder, and look, this is a bit we'll never know. What's the detail he's going into behind the scenes? Is he a tactical genius? Maybe he's just playing the role of coming out to the press and just giving sound bites. And that's it. That's all he's going to do, because it doesn't necessarily matter to him. Maybe behind the scenes he is someone who is great when it comes to attention to detail. And actually, do you know what? The last few games, maybe he is, because actually it's 3 decent away wins now on the bounce, I think it is. And, we're talking about how long it's been since they had an away win. What was it? Bury had one before Man United. So, they are starting to now make it happen. Tactically, they seem that little bit more aware, so maybe there's a little bit more to Ollie.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, clearly that level of intelligence is seeping down to his players, isn't it? Because we heard from Marcus Rashford. I believe we're going to hear from him again. And this is the level of the attention to detail that you're talking about, Rich, about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just drilling it into his team that this is a cup game, this is knockout football, this is tournament football, and at the end of it, you can get yourselves into a cup final. So we're going to hear from Marcus Rashford now, and just hear from him in the sense of how much this has really resonated with him.
Exactly what the cup win meant to him.
And
it's his birthday
being
as
a part
well.
of a cup as well.
It's
That
his
kind of
birthday as
that's
well.
the thing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have drilled into him. It's knockout football, mate. It's the cup.
Marcus, congratulations. A birthday tomorrow. Is that the best possible way to celebrate tonight?
Yeah, definitely 3 points is the way that you want to.
Marcus.
It's the cup.
Do you know what? We're giving you the media training as well, Marcus, and we told you there's several lines. Boys done good. Look, if you're ever struggling, just take out the boys done good. That's all you need. The 3 points one is one that trips players up all the time.
That is right. That is just an example where you can just see where common sense and just normal intelligence goes out the window, because in his head there's a press officer going 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. And that's what he says.
No, you got a choice of 3. You got the 3 points. You got the boys done good. You've also got we take it one game at a time. And he's had 3 choices and he took the wrong one. And I mean, it happens sometimes. It happens. But no, Marcus Rashford, fantastic yesterday.
It's a good job he can hit a ball, isn't it?
He can.
Because if he wasn't, he'd be doing something very, very different.
Another free kick. David Beckham's against Greece. Of course, the goalkeeper didn't move for that one. Does it make it better when the goalkeeper doesn't move? Does it look better when the goalie kind of gives it the dramatic stand, stare, watch it fly into the top corner?
I like being able to pinpoint the exact moment the hope fades out of the goalkeeper's eyes.
Yeah.
Just I don't know if. Yeah, I can't say that. No, it was when they just realised
this time in the morning or just in life?
No,
Just
ever
in life.
actually on air. Yeah, it was going to be a horrible analogy.
Yeah, okay.
But basically, when the goalkeeper gives up.
Yes. Gives up all hope. The time is 7:15.
This is Love Sport. The Novotel London Blackfriars, the official hotel partner of Love Sport. Located just minutes away from the city and London's famous South Bank. You can kick back and taste the flavours of the world at the Jamboree Bar and Grill and enjoy all the sights of London in style. The Novotel London Blackfriars.
You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage.
Henna men. Pants and pads.
You're
discreet. Masculine.
You're
secure absorption zone. Buy online or in shops.
You're in
Tenna men. Keep control.
Urine?
No.
Whoa! Look how much saturated fat is in these chocolate biscuits. It's surprising how much is in our food and drinks. For us kids, eating too much saturated fat can lead to harmful fat building up inside, which we can't see, increasing the risk of heart disease or stroke when we get older. So be food smart. Download the free Change for Life food scanner app and start making healthier choices today.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
There are many things a mother can pass on to her baby. Her smile, her eye colour, and her immunity to whooping cough. Whooping cough is a very dangerous illness for young babies, and at the moment it's spreading fast. A simple vaccination during your pregnancy can help to protect your baby in their first weeks. Please speak to your GP, nurse, or healthcare professional and pass on your immunity.
This is Love Sport.
Well, every kid out there's got the opportunity to play for England. No one thinks they can make it, and the opportunity is if you work out what your strengths are, play to your strengths, each day approach it with a philosophy of getting better. You don't know what you can achieve. So if you're home in England, you probably haven't got this sunshine. It's probably a bit gloomy, but you're going to find some sun shining at Yokohama Stadium on the 2nd of November. So make sure you get down to your club, you watch it, guys, have a pint and enjoy the game.
There you go. A rousing message.
Is he all right?
That's Eddie. Classic Eddie. I disagree with everything with what he says there, but every kid's got a chance of making it into the Rugby World Cup squad. That's not true.
No, it's not.
No. There's some people that are just born with no chance of ever getting to the physical size that you need
Eugene,
to...
that I went to school with. There's no chance of Eugene lining up. There's no chance. I'd love to see it.
Is he Math 3000, is he? Is he that kid?
Oh, mate, he's different level.
Is he?
Yeah, it looks like he invented the Game Boy.
Right, okay. I'm sure he's done very well for himself, but yeah, not meant to be a rugby player.
No,
But
not at all.
no. Eddie, though, with nice words. I like that. Positive message.
Yeah, okay,
Rousing.
all right. He's confident, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
He's,
Have a beer, love life.
Have a beer, we'll see you with the trophy.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, well, look, I suppose it's confidence. He's got every right to be confident, hasn't he? But yeah, he just seemed a little bit more kind of spaced out than normal there.
He did a bit.
He's normally quite intense.
Are we still saying Eddie for Prime Minister?
Oh, big time, yeah.
Are we
yeah.
allowed to say that at the moment with everything going on? Or I guess because he's
or
not
Eddie's-
running.
Yeah.
What are the rules?
Yeah, no, we can. Eddie Jones isn't standing for Prime Minister, so...
So Eddie, Gareth
If anyone
Southgate.
goes to a polling station off the back of hearing this now and votes for Eddie Jones, you'd have to draw your own box in, write the name Eddie Jones in, and then tick it, which will be wrong again because you've got to cross it. So I think we're safe. Yeah, Eddie Jones for Prime Minister.
Fantastic. Later on the show, Patrick will be telling us who he is voting for in the elections, which are coming up in a few weeks' time.
Just in case you're just joining us, the reason why Rich keeps doing this is because now the general election has been called. We're going to get it on December 12th. I am not allowed to in any way, shape or form let you know how I'm voting or influence you, which is ridiculous because you can literally pick up a newspaper and see some of the most biased reporting that the world has ever seen telling you how to vote, but I'm not allowed to say anything.
There you go. Let's hear from Eddie Jones, shall we?
So guys, get behind us, make sure you're supporting hard, and we look forward to seeing you back with the trophy.
Well, there you go. He's got lots of positive messages this morning, Eddie. You know,
Yeah.
kind of feel like it was quite similar to the message before.
It was very similar,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Do you reckon they've just gone, right, okay, Eddie, you just go one more take now, mate?
One more. Same message. Perfect. Positive. Keep it positive. Keep talking about having a drink. That's
Yeah.
it. It's really influenced
Keep
the
us
nation.
drinking, Eddie. Keep us drinking.
There we go.
I hope that Eddie Jones absolutely loses it if we win. And
Yeah.
that he's like proper ringleader on the top of the double-decker bus in Trafalgar Square, like top off, waving his England tie around, full bottle of champagne.
I could see that.
Maybe a luge.
Yeah, I could see that. Who will be the? I'm trying to think out of the squad. Who are the crazy? Like we know in the cricket squad, we know Ben Stokes. You know that he's
Yeah.
going to be leading that, like
Oh,
it was
yeah.
with Freddie Flintoff back in the day. Who is the one out of this England squad that leads them into?
Joe Marler.
Yeah,
Joe Marler. He's the guy who looks like an extra out of Braveheart.
Okay.
And he's clearly just nuts. He went by himself to a hedgehog cafe near Tokyo the other week.
Yeah.
Just cause.
Really?
Yeah, just got pictured in there on his own, just stroking hedgehogs. I like that guy. I like the intensity.
It's just different. It's just
It is, isn't
yeah,
it?
exploring life.
Also, he was the one that when New Zealand were doing the haka, he was the one who was so far in their own half that he was basically just like, you could just see at one point someone had to like remind him where he was. Like, Joe, mate, leave it. Joe, no, Joe. Oh, he's done it. Yeah.
We've got a rugby fan on the line. You know who we've got on the line,
I
don't
know
you?
who we've got on
You
the
know we've got
You know
Rob
who we've got.
Lewis. So we spoke about this, of course. It was yesterday, wasn't it? Oh, no, it was the day before yesterday, I think. Sorry, my bad. We spoke about this. The guy who was slightly inebriated, we
Battered.
believe. slightly
off his nut, mate.
Slightly inebriated, decides to book a plane to Japan, has no ticket, has no accommodation. However, he did manage to get hold of a ticket. I'm intrigued whether he managed to get the ticket delivered in time.
Because that was the issue, wasn't
that was
it?
the issue, and he said that if he didn't get it delivered in time, he was going to disown his dad.
Yes, there was a lot of that going about, wasn't there?
There was. So, I mean, that's going to be my first question. Delighted to say we've got Rob Lewis, England rugby fan in Japan, on the line. Morning, Rob.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
We're good. So, look, the big question, have you got your match ticket?
It's a very good question. The latest on the ticket is as such. The seller finally got back in contact with me yesterday, and then they were being quite chatty, which was good. They said I can pick the ticket up at the stadium on the day, so the morning of the game, on Saturday. So it's going to be an anxious wait until then. The confidence I have is that they've requested a World Cup final programme. So I've obviously said, yeah, you can have a programme as long as I get the tickets.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, wasn't it meant to be delivered to your dad, though? What happened?
I don't know. This is the bit. Like, I don't think they were ever delivered. So obviously that's a big
It's a
worry
big red
point
flag.
there.
It's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
This is getting a little bit
So
tough to listen to now.
It's adding to the adventure, but I'll find out I'll find out on Saturday where I've got tickets or not.
Rich, there was quite a nice Nigerian man that I think you could put him in touch with.
It was, yeah. There's, I need to. I take it you managed to get accommodation, though. I guess you haven't been sleeping on the streets.
I did, yeah. The lovely guys at Hostel World have put me up in a hostel for 4 nights, which is absolutely amazing of them. So I got off the plane, a terrible flight. I do not recommend travelling economy, being 6'4" with crutches for 11 hours.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not
that's
great.
the other thing, mate. You've got a shattered knee, haven't you?
Yeah, my knees had better days, so I'm on crutches, yeah.
Oh, mate.
Okay, so have you been able to experience Japan yet? or-
Obviously not. Obviously,
no,
he's not been able to
I-
experience Japan. Has he? Go on, mate. Tell him.
I navigated the metro system on my own crutches to the hostel last night. This morning I did a bit of work, but I'm about to head out now to Shinjuku, just to see my first bit of Japan.
It sounds fantastic.
Tokyo, even.
Yeah, okay. So, all right, so we're going to have to wait until Saturday. I'm really anxious for you. I really, really hope the ticket's there. By the way, if this all ends well, if this ends well and you get the ticket and England win, it will be the best story. You'll be dining out on this for years to come.
A film. You're going to be like, you're going to have Leonardo DiCaprio playing you in a film. It's going to be fantastic.
I mean, if only the England rugby players were as courageous as I am.
Exactly. And we've always said that, haven't we, Rob? We've always said that. Okay, all right. So, look, just in a nutshell, you're out there, shattered knee, Hostel World. Ticket, you hope, arrives on the morning of game day. If it doesn't, what are you going to do?
He hasn't considered this at all.
Have it literally not even entered your head?
I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to think on my feet at the time. That's going to be a worry for Saturday morning. I've been offered a few other tickets, but I simply don't have the money to buy a backup ticket.
No.
So I'm.
How much are the backup tickets?
I need
How much are the backup tickets?
I've been, the cheapest I've been offered is £1,000 for one, and I bought £1,000 for two. So it's I can't afford to buy more, just in case mine don't come through.
Well, it's your lucky day, actually,
so
mate. Because Richard Lee
yeah, whoa.
has just agreed to pay for your ticket.
Hey, his tickets are going to arrive. He'll be absolutely fine. So you've
Well
got,
done, Rich.
you've
That's
got,
big of you, mate.
Yeah. You've got 2 tickets. Who else is going with you?
I need a friend, but that again, if I get the tickets, my next quest will be find someone worthy enough to come with me to the game, and they'll be sitting next to me.
Who do you know in Japan?
So yeah,
Tinder, mate. Get on Tinder. Japanese Tinder.
I've got a couple of Welsh friends, but they're not in Tokyo. I don't know where they are. They've been here for a week, and I think they've been a bit inebriated for the last week, so they're hard to contact.
Right. Are they going to the third, fourth place?
I've actually. They're going to the bronze medal match. This is another thing. I think I'm going to try and find a ticket for this game, so I reckon they'll be cheaper. So this is like a mini quest. See if I can go to the game tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
If I can meet some like Welsh fans tonight. I've actually just got my first friend I've met out here, a guy called Anton. He's Danish and he's been here supporting Wales. He's here at my hostel. He's got a black eye and concussion because he was drunk and walked straight into a sign after the game.
Fantastic.
After the game on Sunday.
You sound like quite the pair.
Absolute state of you two. Absolute state of
I'm
you
actually
guys.
really jealous I'm not there. I've got
You've got you on crutches, desperately trying to find a ticket for either of these games, and then your mate Anton from Denmark who supports Wales with a black eye and concussion. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. It's like the new Laurel and Hardy. I love it.
Well, look, Rob, if it's all right, we've got to keep in touch because I'm in now. I'm involved in this story.
I'm so far into this story, mate. I've got to see how this ends.
And it has to be a happy ending.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, right, Rob.
Please don't.
Rob, thanks for
Positive
joining us.
thoughts only. Positive thoughts.
Indeed,
Thanks, guys.
positive thoughts. And if you do go to the third, fourth, the bronze game, do enjoy that. Do enjoy the final, but hopefully we'll speak to you next day or two anyway. It's 28 minutes past 7.
This is Love Sport.
It's cancer, they said. My first thought, let's just say it wasn't money, but time off work for treatment and trips to the hospital, paying the mortgage, and the cost of living doesn't go away just because you're living with cancer, and Macmillan can help with that too. My advice? Take their advice, soon as I did.
Macmillan, right there with you. Search Macmillan Money Worries.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
Making small changes to your lifestyle could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. Start now by taking our free How Are You quiz. Just search 1U.
Brilliant, I've finally quit.
I can keep up with my kids now.
I feel like I've got my life back.
It's an amazing feeling when you stop smoking. Experience it for yourself with help from Smoke Free. Our range of free support can help you quit for good, from our app to emails, face-to-face and online communities. Search Smoke Free, because there's only one you.
Oh, it's okay. Let's face it, when your kids are ill, you'd do anything to help them feel better. But remember, antibiotics aren't always needed. You might not realise it, but taking antibiotics when you don't need them puts you and your family at risk of a longer and more severe illness. Help keep your family well. Always take your doctor's advice on antibiotics. Search NHS antibiotics. All better.
Love Sport.
Love Sport Breakfast, Love Sport Radio. Me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you until 10 a.m. I think for the first time, the man donning the flamingos is going to join us, Mr.
Yes.
Kieran Wellington.
A treat
Good morning.
for all our YouTube viewers.
Oh, absolutely. Come on. Just get bright and up for the World Cup final.
Indeed. What are we going to talk? Because I want to talk Richard Keogh.
Okay.
Does that work for you, Kieran?
I can do that.
Good stuff. So, Derby have sacked now former captain anyway, Richard Keogh. The 33-year-old was a passenger in a car being driven by by one of either Mason Bennett or Tom Lawrence, some of the Derby players there who'd been on a boozy team bonding evening at Derby, as you do, midweek, and they then crashed their vehicles. Now, Keogh suffered a nasty knee injury. He's definitely going to be out between a year and 18 months, and obviously it depends at 33 whether or not you can come back from that. And Derby have now sacked him for gross misconduct after he refused to take a pay cut to his £24,000 a week wages. Thoughts?
Go on, Kieran.
Well, when I saw this, I kind of immediately put on the WhatsApp group that we have about it, because it was so shocking to me that he'd been sacked. And I kind of mentioned our discussion that we've had before about market value, because when Tom Lawrence and Mason Bennett came straight back in the team, we were a bit confused by it. Well, I certainly was. I thought they deserved a harsher punishment from Derby. But you said about Tom Lawrence's resale value, obviously being an international footballer. Mason Bennett's only 23, I think, so still a long way to go in his career, which means he's got a bit more. They're bigger assets, essentially. And Richard Keogh, Derby have shown no loyalty to him, really, by sacking him. He's obviously got 14 days to appeal this, so we shall see if the lawyers get involved in the PFA. But, yeah, it stinks, doesn't it, really?
It does. It does. For me, it's... look, they had they've got a choice. For the three in what they've done, it seems like he was the least culpable out of the three. You know, the other two, bearing in mind, they were both drink driving, and have been charged in the way they have. From what I understand, Richard Keogh was a passenger. He was out getting drunk on a team night out, one that was sanctioned. Yes, they went on a little bit too long, from what we understand, but he was then passenger in a car and being driven home. It seems like he was the least guilty of the three. So my point is then, if the other two are sacked, then fine.
Yeah.
Sack all three, you can understand that. I don't think the other two will be sacked. Do you know what? It reminds me, so when I was younger, first year, Watford, apprenticeship, they actually signed a lot of players. We signed like 10 players going into the first year apprenticeship. Normally it's 5 or 6, so it was quite a strong squad we had. Early on, though, you could tell that there were 2 or 3 that probably weren't quite good enough. We're only about 3 or 4 weeks in, but you could tell they came back. They weren't in great shape. They hadn't started the season particularly well. Went on a pre-season trip, and on the last night of the trip, there was a curfew given to us. I think it was like 11 o'clock or something. Anyway, we all got back at 11. These 3 got back, I think, 1. We then come in the next week on the Monday or Tuesday, and we got told that they'd sacked all 3. And you just felt like, okay, fine. Like, that seems a bit harsh, bearing in mind there were a couple of hours over the curfew. It wasn't like they did anything overly bad. They just decided to stay out a little bit longer. Then there's other things that happened that season. Me being one, there was one night in particular where I ended up going out with some of the older pros, got a bit drunk. I got in a lot of trouble for what I did, but they didn't sack me.
What did you do, Rich?
Well, no, I didn't do anything other than I got a bit drunk and made a bit of a scene. That was it.
What was the scene, Rich?
The scene was just being in a, I was in a it's going to sound dumb. No, I was a bit sick. So
Right,
that was
okay.
it, but in front of a lot of people. So it was like I made a bit of a fool of myself. I was 17. I was etc. etc. So really, what I had done was probably worse than what the 3 that had been sacked. But at the time, I was playing for England at under 18s. I think I was. I was kind of being seen as the next one to come through. So it kind of felt like I knew I hadn't been given the same punishment as the other 3, and I always remember that. And I felt it's very convenient when something happens, it's someone you don't necessarily want, and you're given an excuse to move them on. That's exactly what happened with those 3. That's what it feels like Richard Keogh. They've just saved themselves 1.2 million quid.
Yeah.
The remainder of his contract, more than that actually, it's probably closer to 2 million quid. They've just saved themselves by sacking him, a player that's probably never going to play for the club, even though he's played 360 games for the club.
Isn't it?
Yeah, you talk about loyalty. You talk about players having loyalty to a football club. This is why players don't have any loyalty to a football club. And I don't care what fans say. Like, the fans will boo them when they leave, when they want them, but this is why they leave. It's moments like this where players just think, do you know what, screw you.
I mean, Derby have essentially ended his career, haven't they?
Yeah, he's played 300. He's played there for 7 years, pretty much every single game. Club captain, goes on a night out, a club-sanctioned night out, has a couple of drinks, is a passenger in a car, and now they sack him. This is why, and I think this is a great example. Anyone that ever then says about a footballer lacking loyalty, it's not like it used to be, play for the shirt. Players don't care, and this is why they don't care.
All right, let's move it forward to January when Wayne Rooney comes in as player coach. You know, this doesn't look good on Derby, does it?
I mean, he puts the gross in gross misconduct, doesn't he? Really?
I mean, I don't think these are related personally. I know what you're saying, that they're bringing him in and he's done all these misdemeanors and whatever.
Well, it's not just that. It's just, Derby aren't a great fit, for his...
I don't like Derby right now.
Personally, no. I just don't think it's a great look.
fit. I mean...
Derby not coming to your birthday party?
No, I'm not inviting them. No, I'm... is it Mel Morris? He's not getting an invite, I'm afraid. No, look, I don't know. I don't think it's related at all. I mean, yeah, I understand the misdemeanors and whatever that Wayne Rooney's had previously. I understand why Derby are bringing him in. I think it's very good business. I think that he's still got a lot to offer. He's shown that in the MLS. I know where you're going with this. I just think that there's no real link. I think in isolation, these 3, what's happened...
Well, he's not exactly... if you're looking to change a club's culture... if you're looking to bounce back from a particularly bad drink-related incident like Derby County are, Wayne Rooney is not the man for that particular crisis, is he?
No, they'd already done the Wayne Rooney deal before this, so it's not ideal for them, let's be honest. But they had already done the deal beforehand, and I mean, and also the other thing to remember is with Wayne Rooney, it's obviously highlighted 100 times more than any other player. For all we know, there could be 5 Wayne Rooneys in the Derby squad already, but we don't know about it because they're not as big as Wayne Rooney.
It's a harrowing thought, isn't it?
It's an incredible thought.
Can you imagine a team full of Wayne Rooney? just every single one of them to a man is a Wayne Rooney.
I mean, it is Halloween, so it's a pertinent image to bring up this morning.
An incredibly talented, if slightly overweight squad.
Yeah. If you're going as Wayne Rooney tonight, can I just offer you a top tip? Instead of bothering with buying the football shirt or anything like that, just draw a face on a potato.
There you go.
There you go.
But football's a business, as you said about Rooney, so, perhaps it's no surprise, really.
Which is, football's a business. There you go, exactly. And why the other 2 haven't been sacked yet. Look, and by the way,
Actually,
I'll take back...
That's a good point, sorry. By sacking Keogh, have they just paid for Rooney's wages for a bit?
Probably, yeah. Probably. They've saved themselves a couple of million quid by doing that.
So in essence...
They'll fight. They know the lawyers will come after him, and they'll probably end up paying a fraction of his wage as a settlement, but they've just saved themselves a lot of money. Look, I take back everything I say if they sack the other 2 as well, but they won't do that. The other 2 are worth too much money.
Interesting. Right, I want to move on to a bit of Eddie Jones.
Probably best.
Yes, and the 7 ages of Eddie's England, how Jones discovered the 50 men to win the World Cup, and the Times have done an excellent double-page spread today, kind of detailing the evolution of Eddie Jones's England. Now, obviously, he was appointed in England's nadir when we dumped out of our own World Cup in the group stages, losing to Wales and Australia in the pool. And it basically details Jones's selection policy from that moment. So his first team versus Scotland in the 2016 Six Nations was Mike Brown, Anthony Watson, who is still in the team, Jonathan Joseph, Owen Farrell at 12, where he still plays, Jack Noel, George Ford at 10, where he still plays, Danny Kerr, Joe Marler, Dylan Hartley, who was captain, of course, Dan Cole, Joe Launchbury, George Cruz, Chris Robshaw, James Haskell, and Billy Vunipola at 8. So you can see, even back in 2016, in those early stages, there was a real clear plan to play Ford at 10 and Farrell at 12. He obviously changed that throughout, and they do go into more detail of moving Farrell into 10 and dropping Ford, and winning kind of the old guard in 2016 in the autumn internationals, how they based it, and basically the slow integration of players like Maro Itoje. So phase 2 was to bring in the likes of Maro Itoje in the Tour of Australia, and how Tom Curry made his debut aged 18 in 2017, a man who's obviously become central. Henry Slade was brought back in, first start since the World Cup in 2017, and you can see there's been a slow evolution of players chopping and changing. He's not stuck to his guns. He's had many plans in place. He's obviously a deep thinker, and yeah, it's an excellent piece in the Times. I encourage everyone to read it, and they track the world rankings since Jones started. We started off in 8th place. We stayed second for a long time as we won Six Nations under Jones's tenure, and then of course we had a terrible Six Nations in 2018 where we finished 5th and lost 2-1 in South Africa, which dropped us back down to 6th in the world rankings, and now we're number 1 for the first time in 16 years heading into this final.
There you go. Do you want to know something interesting?
Yes, I do, Reg.
You know what I'm going to say, because I'm just showing you on YouTube. So George North and Chris Robshaw had a penalty shootout against me.
Who won?
Well, I'm going to show you during the... I actually can't remember, if I'm honest. It was really good fun. They're big guys.
How did you get that gig?
I did all sorts. I was a right guard 24-hour man back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't even remember that either. My memory's going.
Are you all right, mate?
Right. Do you know what? This whole head injury thing.
We have an advert on this station which is flipping hack. He just dropped his pen, hit him in the eye.
Oh.
Have you been out last night?
I really haven't. No.
Okay.
No, but I did remember this. Yeah, no, this was a Maxi Muscle, a Maxi Nutrition advert thing that we did, and they're really good guys, actually. By the way, obviously very good rugby players too.
Yes. Well, there we go.
Indeed. Yes. Sorry, that's a complete tangent. Got nothing to do with what Kieran's talking.
Going off on a tandem. Well, look. Anyway, basically, England, their rugby players have the chance to become out-and-out heroes, don't they? And I personally think that they probably will. Kieran, do you reckon that they will beat the South Africans?
Yeah, I think the mentality following that semi-final in the immediate aftermath, I've mentioned this before, they just looked so focused. They didn't over-celebrate. South Africa celebrated quite rightly their win against Wales. So it was obviously a tough game, and they put a lot into that. Obviously, England put an awful lot of fuel in the tank for the New Zealand game, but I feel like we will have rested and recuperated well. I don't think they will have had a very intense week. I think they would have tried to chill out a bit and not try to overcomplicate things. And if we play anything like we did against New Zealand, you do back England.
Yeah, and there's actually some interesting insight into the England camp been revealed. This is in The Sun from Dave Kidd. He says, so Friday night we have a meeting, and we call it a captain's meeting, a team meeting. There are no coaches in the room. He asks us how we're feeling and if anyone has anything to say. Often people get something off their chest if they're thinking about the game. And then he says his bit, and without fail, you could hear a pin drop, apparently. Everyone is hanging on every word that Owen Farrell says. It is very inspirational without tearing the roof down, because that is probably not what is needed. But he has a very good feel of what the team needs and what messages to deliver.
Well, Owen Farrell has made the second most appearances of anyone under Eddie Jones's tenure. He's only missed 3 games of Eddie Jones's period as England coach. Do you want to guess who the number one man is?
No.
It's George Ford.
Is it
And
really?
obviously, yeah,
Wow.
obviously so much has been made of Ford being dropped for the quarter-final, and we thought, they might stick with Farrell at fly half. Well, actually, Eddie Jones has immense faith in George Ford, and it was shown against New Zealand when we actually played a lot more attacking rugby. Australia, we went with the game plan, trusted our defensive line, let them run from deep, and we executed that superbly. But with our attacking game forward at 10, Farrell at 12, Tuilagi at 13, I mean, it's really exciting. We score more points. We could have scored 3 tries against the All Blacks. We absolutely dominated them from start to finish. I mean, it just feels like we're going to win the World Cup, Rich. I don't want to say it, but we really can.
This is it. And there's so much has been written about Owen Farrell today, just saying what a leader he is and always has been. He used to do a lot more shouting than he does today, apparently, but that was more out of frustration than anything else. They said he's the sort of person you want to follow. He leads from the front, but he's a person you can trust, and there's also the amount of tapes that he watches. So he's building this kind of notion of Owen Farrell as, yes, a natural leader, someone who's an inspirational speaker, but the fact that it is fundamentally his work rate and his work ethic that really set him apart. And apparently Eddie Jones, this came from Haskell, this, said that in his first meeting, Eddie Jones said there's only 2 players in this room who I believe can stand on their own 2 feet, that meaning that they don't really need to be coached. And one of them there was Owen Farrell. And here he is now, still leading the way. So I think that's where part of this confidence comes from, isn't it, with England? That you've got Eddie Jones there, who just looks very chilled out, very thorough, but you've also got a captain who's exactly the same.
Absolutely, but obviously this could be an incredible year for English sport if we do go on and win in Yokohama on Saturday. And Jamie George, England's hooker, has been tapping up Owen Morgan and Jason Roy for tips on handling the pressure.
Okay.
After, obviously, that incredible Super Over. I mean, talk about heightened pressure. I mean, that was the pinnacle, I think, in the Cricket World Cup. He said, a big thing that I've thought about is your ability to perform your skill under the highest pressure. If you think back to that Super Over and the last run out, Jason Roy's throw, he had to pick the ball up first. And remember, he fumbled earlier on in that Super Over. The ball is coming to him at speed. He's done it 1,000 times before, but doing it under that pressure, knowing that he needs to get it there in that moment. I read Jason saying all he could think about was getting the ball into his hands. He was thinking about the process rather than the big picture. And I think that's so key, isn't it? To think about, just go through the same processes that you're used to. Don't try and deviate from anything, and you should be able to execute.
It's a natural thing to think of the end result. That's the natural thing, as you're thinking about the run out. And actually, do you know what I would say? That Super Over, until that final ball, I mean, it wasn't brilliant. Like, let's remember, I think it was 8 runs off the first 2 balls, if I remember rightly. Like, it kind of started off, you were like, oh no, here we go. It was that last ball though, that was the one where, it was just perfect, really, everything. The pick up, the throw, the catch, the stumping. We could learn a lot.
We could.
We could learn
we
so
could
much.
all learn so much. Happy Thursday.
14 minutes to 8.
Giving your team a voice. Love Sport Radio.
Full of skill, full of flair, full of desire. Fulham FC is full of fire.
Oh, what a goal!
Be there at Craven Cottage as Fulham continue their surge towards the top of the Sky Bet Championship. Watch the unmissable action live in SW6, home of London's original football club.
Absolutely brilliant.
Grab your tickets now at fulhamfc.com.
Before you set off on a long journey, remember to check your vehicle. Are your tyres correctly inflated? And are the treads deep enough? Have you got enough fuel? Is your oil level right? Checking your vehicle doesn't take long, but can prevent a breakdown or accident and save you money. So, before you set off on a long journey, check your tyres, fuel and oil. Highways England, connecting the country.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
If you fall asleep at the wheel, you'll put your life in danger, and the lives of others as well. Before you feel tired, pull off the road into a services or other safe area. Drink some strong coffee, and take a quick nap while the caffeine kicks in.
If you're having a nap, you've left your lights on, sir.
Right, cheers.
Think. Don't drive tired.
Love sport.
Lots for breakfast. Me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you until 10 a.m. Now, we touched on a few of the games yesterday. In fact, there were, of course, 3 games last night in the Carabao Cup. One that we haven't touched on too much, but we will do now, was, of course, Villa versus Wolves. Villa progressing against Wolves. Delighted to say we got Ry Hooper, Wolves fancast, on the line to go through it with us. Morning, Ry.
Hi, good morning, gents.
Morning. A lot of changes, in fact, 11 changes for Wolves. Who impressed?
Yeah, it was a hell of a change to the team, to be honest. I mean, when I saw the team, I had to kind of read up on some of the names because they weren't familiar to us. And I thought, God, yeah, it's half term. They must have given the kids a sort of a run out. So it was. I think we had, I think Kem Campbell up front, who was 16, second youngest player to ever play for Wolves. He's not even signed a professional contract with us as yet. Only played a few games for the under-23s. He looked decent. We had Dion Sanderson, who made, I think, his his first, actually, league senior debut. He's a nephew of Tessa Sanderson, a bit of a fact there. And he looked good, he looked physical, he looked strong. We had another young lad in Taylor Perry in the midfield who also did well. So we weren't probably too surprised because we know kind of where Nuno ranks this one in terms of priority this season with the must publicise sort of fixture schedule with Europa. But probably to the extent in which he made the changes, we probably expected a few more first teamers in there for the game last night. But all in all, they sort of pushed Villa, who had a lot more experience than us. And just a little bit frustrated. I think that perhaps we didn't have a couple of more experienced players on the bench with 20 minutes to go to maybe put us through. But I get why he's done it, and I can't be surprised that he's played the kids and give them opportunity because he's took Europa very seriously so far, and obviously we've got the league and Arsenal the weekend as well.
I was going to say that when you look at, I suppose, the different cup competitions, and you mentioned Europa and the number of games that Wolves are going to have this season, like we saw with, I guess, Liverpool as well last night, where, of course, really you have to play a complete second-string team and make sure that your first-team players are ready for the Premier League games, the Europa games. That being said, obviously never nice to lose to Villa.
No, and I think this is the thing, really. I think the fans are split on this one because if we would have went out in the last round to Reading, I don't think there would have been that much of a reaction. It would have been, okay, well, that's one less game to think about. But facing, Villa, a local derby, and the sellout crowd, we took 5,000 fans there. And also, I think, if the draw is favourable to us, it's a realistic chance of getting to a final of a competition. So I think there's frustration there. But I think, as you rightly say, I think if we're all a little bit honest, I think it's the nature of the opposition getting one over on us that perhaps gives it a bit more significance than it would be if we were to lose to a different side who we had no connection and rivalry with. So I think the fans are split in terms of, we know it's a lower priority, but I suppose if I'm honest, I don't really see us getting relegated this season. I don't see us forcing our way into the top 6. So, personally speaking, then I don't see why we can't, go on all fronts on all competitions. But we have got a crazy schedule, so I get it. But I think there's a bit of frustration that, to the level in which he experimented last night, there's a little bit of us thinking it would have been nice to have a Traore or a Jota on the bench, even for 20 minutes, to have maybe done enough to get us through.
Do you know, it's a really good point, that, actually, where you think the actual cup competitions for Wolves, given the quality of their first team, as and when they put out their first team, there is a realistic chance, obviously FA Cup, EFL and the Europa League, there is a chance of winning something. And you do wonder, I think that sometimes, if you had the choice of finishing 7th or finishing 15th, but by finishing 15th, actually put out a first team in all the cup competitions, I think most fans would want that. The idea, you mentioned, you get through this game, you could have had a Colchester or an Oxford, no disrespect to them, and suddenly you find yourself in the semi-final of a major cup competition, again, like you did last season.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, really. I mean, from a club perspective, or shall we say from a fan perspective, let's be honest, there's no real difference between us finishing 7th or 8th or 15th. But from the finances, there's obviously a monetary difference to that. But from a fan perspective, then, I can't speak to the fan base. That's very diverse and has different views. But the general consensus I do feel is, well, hang on, really, as long as it's not to the detriment of our league place, in which I don't believe it will be because there's enough strength there, then as fans, you want to get to cup finals. You want to see your teams in finals and pick up a bit of silverware. We've not won this competition, I think, since 1980. So, but I'm split, if I'm honest, because I know, particularly coming up over the Christmas period, I think with the way the games have been changed for TV rights and so forth, I think they've got about 40 hours between certain games. So, yeah, I'm a little bit split. So, it's not something that I think, taking into account how he's taken the Europa seriously, I think we'll give him the fact that he's given that lineup out last night. But a tinge of frustration that perhaps we couldn't have played a couple of players who may have took us over the line last night, I think.
Yeah, and of course you play Arsenal on Saturday, 3 o'clock on Saturday at the Emirates. Good time to play them?
Possibly, yeah. But this is Arsenal. It's crazy, really. In terms of Arsenal, how I see, I don't think there's a lot of harmony in that group, and that's been well publicised this week. So, they had obviously a tough game last night. Who knows? I would fancy us at least to get a point there. We know the strength that they've got attacking, but I think if he has rested players, then I think those who are frustrated about the selection last night will be expecting a big performance, and a fully rested Traore, Jota, Jimenez, you'd want to see them up firing on all cylinders. So if we get a positive result the weekend, then it's kind of a little bit in the background as it last night.
Very true. Great stuff, Rye. As always, appreciate you joining us. Rye Hooper there, Wolves Fancast, giving us the feedback on the game last night. Of course, Villa going through to the quarterfinals, beating Wolves 2-1. Mr. Christys.
Hello.
Hello. Let's stick with football. Let's stick with the games last night. We touched on the fact that, of course, Wolves do find themselves in the quarterfinal. Man United find themselves in the quarterfinal. How important is this competition to Mr. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
I think it could be massive. I think if he does win it, then still a piece of silverware that would buy him a lot more time, I would have thought.
Well, it's interesting. The draw is actually coming up shortly, so we'll keep you informed on that. But again, I touched on it there, the fact that Colchester and Oxford are still in the competition, and it's no disrespect to them, but if it is a Manchester United versus Oxford, then there's a great chance that United will progress then to a semi-final, and suddenly there is the realistic chance that there could be some silverware for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which, look, at the end of this season, if United finish... hopefully they're able to get a top 6 from their point of view. But if they finish top 6 and they get some silverware, that has to go down as a successful season.
Fantastic season, absolutely. And you got Marcus Rashford now actually playing quite well. There is a sense about Manchester United at the moment that things have started to just about come together. They're still massively riding the luck. Still an incredibly limited team. Right, but there is that sense that things are starting to turn a bit.
McTominay last night was pretty good by all accounts. Had an effort just wide, and I saw a stat that he's had more dribbles than anyone. So there you go.
He's like the Scottish Messi.
There you go.
Yeah, he takes hold my beer, Barry Bannon. I'm Scottish Messi now. He's had more take-ons than Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, loads of people, anyone else basically.
Loves a dribble.
Loves to dribble.
Loves to dribble. We've got lots coming in the next hour. We're going to be talking more rugby. We've got Phil Vickery on the line. We'll be talking to him shortly. We'll also be talking Man United with the host of the Man United Fan Show. The time is 3 minutes to wait.
This is Love Sport.
Are you paying way too much for your energy bills? A spokesman said could help you save big money. With electricity costs continuing to rise, you could save hundreds of pounds by shopping around. Just go to aspokesmansaid.com and look for the very best value energy deals on the market. Don't waste your hard-earned cash. You could be on a much cheaper deal. Go to aspokesmansaid.com.
Fighting for you, saving you money.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
Exercise. It doesn't have to mean Lycra or a fancy gym membership. All you need is 10 minutes and you. Because a regular 10-minute brisk walk is a great way to get more active. Whether that's walking to the shops or getting off the bus to stop early. Picking up the pace and getting your heart pumping can make a real difference to your health. So, to see how much brisk walking you're doing and how you can fit more into your day, download the free Active 10 app. Because there's only one you.
I love my brother. We do fun things like playing together. I like having hugs with Freddie. Freddie gives the best hugs. Freddie used to be very poorly, and the doctor said he might need a new liver. Then one day, a very nice person gave their liver to Freddie. It was amazing. We were so happy. Now he's around to give me more hugs than ever.
Tell your family you want to save lives. To find out more, visit organdonation.nhs.uk.
Sport Breakfast. Me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you until 10 a.m. In the next hour, as mentioned, we are going to be speaking to Phil Vickery, England World Cup winner in 2003 and captain in the 2007 final. Special guest, looking forward to speaking to him. We'll also be speaking to Sam Pilger, football writer and contributor to the Manchester United Fan Show on Love Sport, which of course is every Sunday, 9 until 10 p.m. We'll also be speaking to Chris Howard, suburban gooner. Of course, Arsenal getting dumped out last night, probably undeservedly, I would say. However, keen to get his thoughts on that as well. As ever, you can get in touch 0208 70 25 58, either call us or leave us a WhatsApp message. You can get in touch on the socials at Love Sport Radio. We are also on YouTube. I see we've had several messages through once again, so thank you very much, Clive. Thank you for your message and several others too. You can check us out on YouTube. Simply type in Love Sport Breakfast.
On digital radio, online, mobile and smart speaker. This is Love Sport News.
From the Sky News Centre at 8, Boris Johnson is blaming Labour for not allowing the UK to leave the EU as planned today. The Prime Minister is due to say Jeremy Corbyn has created more uncertainty for families and business. Meanwhile, the Labour leader will use a speech to describe the elite as a corrupt system. Shadow Justice Secretary Richard Bergen has admitted the focus on Brexit may be harming his party's poll ratings.
I think that because Boris Johnson and the Tories have succeeded in trying to make this just about Brexit at the moment, that hasn't helped our position, because we've got a nuanced, practical, common sense position on Brexit. Let the people decide.
Culture Secretary Nicky Morgan is the latest big political name to announce she's leaving the House of Commons. The Conservative joins a growing list of women who are standing down, citing abuse. Twitter has announced it's going to ban all political advertising, saying such messages need to earn support, not buy it. The change will come into force on the 22nd of November. At least 62 people have died in a huge train fire in Pakistan. Officials believe a gas cooker being used in one of the carriages may have been the source. It's been confirmed that Fiat Chrysler and PSA Group are going to merge, creating the world's fourth largest car maker. The combined company will be valued at more than £40 billion and include brands like Vauxhall and Jeep. In sport, England will be unchanged for Saturday's Rugby World Cup final against South Africa. Head coach Eddie Jones says the team are ready and capable of winning.
We've had 4 years to prepare for this game. We've got good tactical clarity about how we want to play. We're fit. We're enjoying the tournament. The only sadness is the tournament's going to end.
And Liverpool are in this morning's draw for the quarter-finals of the League Cup. After coming out on top at Anfield last night, they equalised in the 94th minute to earn a 5-5 draw with Arsenal and then beat them 5-4 on penalties. That's the latest. I'm Kit Bradshaw.
This is Love Sport.
There's nothing like coming back to a warm home after a long day at work. Especially when you've been stuck in rush hour for what seems like an eternity. Luckily, with Hive Active Heating, rated 5-star on Trustpilot, you can turn your heating on from wherever you are. And now with our new Hive radiator valves, you can even control your heating room by room. Search Hive Heating to buy now. Hive services require broadband and Wi-Fi. Terms apply.
Love Sport Radio. On digital radio, online, mobile and smart speaker. This is Love Sport Breakfast with Richard Lee and Patrick Christys.
Morning. Love Sport Breakfast, Love Sport Radio, me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you until 10 a.m. Let's touch on a few of those headlines this morning. England, South Africa, team news. England unchanged as Kyle Sinclair and Johnny May passed fit. Richard Keogh has been sacked by Derby for gross misconduct in the Carabao Cup. We had some crazy games. 5-5 draw Anfield. Liverpool go through on penalties. 18-year-old Curtis Jones scores the winning penalty. And the FA demands Spygate answers from Liverpool. I am, of course, joined by Mr. Patrick Christys here with you until 10 a.m.
Yes, I've just legged it across the road to try and get some coffees.
Enjoy.
Which is why I'm out of breath. Yeah, they're bringing them up, which is just as well, really.
I mean, look, I don't ask questions when you're out of breath. You tend to get out of breath quite regularly.
I do, yeah.
Even when you talk quite fast.
One time I just moved across the studio and that was 10 minutes of dead air. We're never going to get back.
Oh, fantastic. Look, so much to talk about today. Of course, we have touched on the Carabao Cup. I do want to talk a bit of rugby because, of course, Eddie Jones has been giving a positive message to the nation in preparation for this game on Saturday.
It's quite nice. I know we're going to hear from Eddie Jones, and there is a press conference coming up, so we're going to throw over to that as well. And with Owen Farrell as well, of course, England's inspirational leader. But Eddie Jones has got quite a positive message for everyone, which is basically sit back, relax, it's in the bag. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and he seems to mention having a drink a few times. In fact, let's hear from our man, Eddie Jones.
Well, every kid out there's got the opportunity to play for England. No one thinks they can make it, and the opportunity is if you work out what your strengths are, play to your strengths, each day approach it with a philosophy of getting better. You don't know what you can achieve. So if you're home in England, you probably haven't got this sunshine. It's probably a bit gloomy, but you're going to find some sun shining at Yokohama Stadium on the 2nd of November. So make sure you get down to your club, you watch it, guys, have a pint and enjoy the game.
Again.
Just the one, though.
Just the one, yeah.
Just have one pint.
That's all Eddie wants you to have. But a very positive message there from Eddie Jones. He tends to slur his words a bit. Is that just the Australian?
You think?
Yeah. I think that's just a natural thing, because sometimes you listen and you think, are you okay, Eddie? But I think it's just the way he talks. He has a little bit of a slur.
Yeah, maybe. I hope that's what it is.
I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. Yeah, maybe him and Alan Brazil have the same issue.
Possibly. So Eddie Jones leading us into battle on Saturday. Someone else who is leading his team into battle, and they did win last night, Mr. Jurgen Klopp. They won on penalties, 5-5 draw. Although it's hard to know whether they actually wanted to go through or not.
I don't think he did. I think Jurgen Klopp's got the issue that now most managers would dream of, which is that he just can't lose even when he wants to.
Yeah, so it's like, Jurgen, why are you putting out your fourth string goalkeeper and your fourth
saves a penalty
team?
Saves a penalty to send them through as well. He's the only player who's ever been let go after getting them through to a round of Carabao Cup. But he said that they just might not play the next round.
Well, here you go. Let's hear some Jurgen Klopp from our man Kieran Wellington.
Yes, you can indeed. And basically, it's to do with the fact they've got to play the FIFA Club World Cup based on the Champions League victory that they sealed last season. Now, these quarterfinals for the Carabao Cup are due to be played the week commencing 16th of December, but Liverpool make a 7,000-mile round trip to Qatar to play in the semi-finals of the Club World Cup on the 18th of December.
Why is everything in Qatar now?
Money.
Yeah. Everything ends. All roads lead to Qatar.
All roads lead to Qatar. Yeah, it's, Boris Johnson there, going live on election evening from Qatar. For the sake of balance, so is Jeremy Corbyn, the Lib Dems, the Brexit Party, and
they're all there.
The
They're all there.
Right, so they've got a 7,000-mile round trip.
Yeah, so referring to the Carabao Cup draw, he says, if they don't find a place for us, an appropriate place, not 3 a.m. on Christmas Day, then we don't play it. You have to think about these things. If you have a fixture list where one team cannot be part of all the games, then you have to think about it. Hopefully it starts at one point. Hopefully it starts now. We will not be the victim of this problem. We played on Wednesday and we wanted to win. If they don't find a proper date for us, then we cannot play the next round, and whoever is our opponent will go through, or Arsenal will play it. I cannot change that.
That's very random, isn't it?
Yeah, would Arsenal just get allowed back in the competition then? Is that how it would work? I don't think it happens, does it?
No.
They just get a bye. The team. Surely Liverpool would have. Has it ever been done before? It's not, has
It's
it?
a nonsense comment, given that Liverpool got the biggest squad go. Last night being a great example, and I'm sort of said tongue-in-cheek, he's not fourth-choice goalkeeper, he's probably third. Him and Andy Lonergan. But still, the fact that he's putting out players that aren't even the backups, it's the backups to the backups. He went for a really young team last night, but they're very, very good. And actually, the experience that they're getting is huge.
But to me, though, Rich, this is more about Arsenal's lack of game management than it is about Liverpool's used to.
Oh, it was. But think, right, this is the thing where everyone's saying, like, crazy Carabao Cup. Right, I watch quite a lot of under-23s, watch quite a lot of youth team football. To have a 5-5 draw isn't that random. That happens
It was
at the
like
young
a school cup game.
Well, that's the thing.
It
That
was.
happens. And when you've got a team that haven't played together before, that's the kind of thing that happens, because you don't have the Van Dijk at the back to keep it tight. No, you've got a lot of players that don't know how to play with each other.
Yes, which is true on the Liverpool side, but Arsenal's defence was Bellerin, Mustafi, Holding, Kolasinac. That is a back four that has played multiple Premier League games, probably hundreds, into the hundreds combined. They should not be conceding 5 goals to a front three of Elliott, Brewster and Origi.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're pants, though, aren't they?
I mean,
the idea that you'd bring in Mustafi to plug any gap.
Yeah, Holding's not. I like Holding. I do. I think he's very. Look, no, you're right. From Arsenal's point of view, and it'd be really interesting. We are speaking to Chris Howard, Suburban Gooner, later. I'm really keen to get his thoughts, because you're right. Arsenal should win that game. They should have won that game, especially when they were ahead.
So is
pretty
this
much
another
the entire game?
Does the ridiculous nature of the game take any of the heat off Emery, or do you reckon that Arsenal fans, we're going to find out, of course, but do you reckon Arsenal fans are still looking at this going, right, another disappointing performance?
I don't think that they've ever had an issue really going forward. The issue's always been defensively, or certainly in the last. We had that stat that under Arsene Wenger, the average goals conceded was like 0.8 per game, whereas under Unai Emery it's 1.3. That's massive. That is massive.
It's quite funny. Someone's dug up a screen grab of the Arsenal website when Emery took charge. And one of his quotes from one of his first interviews in charge was, "I'd much rather win 5-4 than 1-0. Well, that's proven. Can't even win 5-4 though.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it just shows how his philosophy is kind of impacting on the Arsenal side.
Do you know last night Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when Rashford's free kick went in, they asked him about that 2-1 win away at Chelsea, and he was like, "Hey, that's Manchester United." Do you reckon when Unai Emery's just questioned about like a tight game that Arsenal have ended up losing? Oh, that's Arsenal.
I mean, yeah, look, it's from Klopp's point of view, these quotes, they're not going to win the cup, let's be honest, because you can't keep playing this second string.
No, but they might, mate. This is the thing. Like last night, he put his 4th choice keeper in there, and there were enough almost deliberate weaknesses about that Liverpool team to make it be like, we'll give it a good go, but we're going to lose. And they didn't.
For the next round, we are going to reward a fan with the opportunity to play for the club.
And it's going to be the fan that can eat the most burgers in a minute. Okay?
To me, this is a difference, though, between the kind of ideologies of Pep and Klopp, because City have won the Carabao Cup twice in a row.
Yeah.
And Klopp obviously dumped Liverpool out of the cup against Wolves, was it, last season in the FA Cup? Yeah, I just think it shows an interesting difference in mentality between Klopp and Guardiola. Guardiola likes to kind of just go all out winning mentality. Klopp likes to maybe just prioritise a bit
I think
more.
Klopp's obviously hyper-focused on the Premier League this season, understandably so. But actually, when you are putting out a completely different team, what does it matter? For these young players, Curtis Jones last night, what an experience that is. He won't have slept a wink last night after that, and he's on all the front pages, back pages, of all the papers today. Like, that's invaluable experience. So brilliant. You've got one more opportunity now of another round. You might have a quarter-final away at Man City, which will probably mean that you're going to get knocked out. But again, for a Curtis Jones, for a Kelleher, for these players, incredible opportunity. Incredible growth for them.
Remarkable. And I quite like this stat. This was the highest scoring draw in the competition since a 6-6 draw between Dagenham and Redbridge and Brentford.
There you go, my final ever game.
In August 2014.
Oh, yes!
There you go.
Thought I'd bring that one up.
Thanks, great stat. So we're waiting some time until we beat that as well, because there's not going to be a 6 or a 7-6 anytime soon. So there you go.
Yeah.
How'd you play that game, Rich?
How did I play? Bearing in mind it was my last game, and the morning after I went and saw the manager and told him I'm done. Yeah, I didn't play well.
Okay.
But I saved the winning penalty.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, end on a high.
So I walked off to them singing my name, walking off thinking, are you kidding me?
What
Why
was
are
the
you
song?
singing my name?
What was the song?
Oh, I don't know. It's basic. What was it? I had a few.
Because there was a game I went to watch Blackburn play United, and they had Mark Byrne in goal.
Yeah, yeah.
And the chant was, Mark Byrne, he's got a short name.
I quite like that. My one was, I think I told you this, don't worry about a thing. With Richard Lee in goal, it's going to be all right. But the problem was, it wasn't all right. It was far from all right. 6 goals, I should have saved 4 of them. And then I saved the winning penalty, and they sing my name when I'm coming off. And I remember walking off with a really confused look. Just like, what? I was dreadful tonight. I feel guilty that you're singing my name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a dreadful experience. I didn't sleep, and then I retired in the morning. No one knew, though. I didn't actually announce them for a long time, but I said to the manager the morning after, like, I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. So
what did he say?
I think he was quite pleased. It solved a bit of a headache, because I think he was going to drop me for the weekend anyway. So, made his decision making a lot easier. Is that right? So it's the biggest since then. Oh, that's gonna linger.
Yeah.
Oh,
too right.
Like a bad smell.
But what I would say is there was extra time back then. It was actually 4-4.
Oh, okay.
Then it went to extra time and finished 6-4. Now there's no
Wow.
extra time.
4 goals in extra time.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I know.
What an incredible game of football.
Well, no,
like, when you play a 6-all draw, you just like, this isn't professional football. Like, this is just ridiculous.
No, it wasn't professional in any stretch. I mean, wow. I think amateurs would have been disappointed with what went on that night. Never watch any of those goals either. I make a point of not watching back mistakes. Never watch any of those. Yeah, bad night.
How often do you listen back to the show?
Never. 14 minutes past 8.
This is Love Sport.
You love your sport, but it can be a pain organising it. Endless phone calls, emails and text messages, organising players and collecting money can all be a headache. What you need is Teamer.net, the free sports app that'll help you manage your team's events, communicate effectively as a team, and now you can collect money simply and securely via Teamer payments. Relied upon by 2 million members, Teamer is available for free on desktop, Android and iPhone.
Don't get caught out in the great energy price hike as large firms look to charge you more. If you want to save money on your energy bills, it's not too late to see what's on the market. With rising gas and electricity bills, don't get caught out wasting your money on expensive tariffs. A spokesman said will show you the very best value deals available. Check out aspokesmansaid.com and you could be using your savings to put towards a well-earned holiday.
With aspokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
As a busy mum, you're juggling loads of things. And when your kids are ill, you just want to help them feel better. But you don't always need antibiotics to help them get better. For things like sore throats, coughs and colds, you can get advice from your local pharmacy. And you don't need an appointment. To find your nearest pharmacy, search NHS Choices. When your kids are ill, you just want to help them feel better. But you don't always need antibiotics. Get advice from your local pharmacy. Or search NHS Choices.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
Love Sport.
That's for breakfast. Me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys, here with you all the way until 10 a.m.
Absolutely. So England against New Zealand. What a game. Sorry, England against
It
New
was a
Zealand.
great game. What a fantastic game. We are going to talk about that. We like to reminisce on this show.
The show from last week. Again.
Let's just play a clip. We can just...
England against South Africa, or whoever we're playing. Look, promises to be absolutely box office. Eddie Jones is very relaxed. There's a lot of things going around the press today, just quite in-depth things about Owen Farrell in particular and what a motivational speaker he is and the respect that he has among the England squad. So they say that before every game they have a captain's meeting. He allows people to get things off their chest if they've got any fears or concerns or issues around the squad. But then apparently he just stands up. They say you can hear a pin drop and he just speaks and makes his inspirational point, sits down and then goes out and bosses it.
Really?
Incredible.
Do you know what I like about Farrell is the fact that it's... You know, you can't even put it into words, but the energy that he gives. When you're looking at him in the V, and looking at him against the hacker, and just that little smirk, and you just feel like, actually, I've got so much confidence in you. And this is something that I think you can't put into words. When you watch certain players, whether it's football, rugby, cricket, it doesn't matter. You put in, you know, when you look and you get a feeling of confidence. Ben Stokes has got it.
Yeah.
You watch him and you feel like, yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. Is it physically? You look at them and you think, actually, yeah, you've got this nailed. I can't.
Well, I think it's a bit of both. They said that with Owen Farrell that he used to shout a lot more than he does now. And all right, maybe it was because the team wasn't quite as good as they are now. But he was a bit more focused on making sure everyone else was doing their job than maybe necessarily doing his own.
Yeah.
And that seems to have shifted now. And he's much more, kind of introspective, as it were, which I think is clearly a good thing, and it is working.
Yeah, no, it is indeed. Well, look, we're going to be going into more detail on the rugby, of course, massive game. In fact, we are talking literally... 2 days and less than an hour? And it will be upon us?
There's an interesting one here. Lawrence Dallaglio, England legend, said that he used to pay Owen Farrell to look after his kids. And that even when... this is one of these comments, right? That, when people get a little bit OTT, he's gone, even when he was a baby, I thought he was a leader.
Yeah.
Impossible. Absolutely impossible.
Yeah, that's just a nonsense quote, isn't it?
I think as a result, just as a rule,
yeah,
if you can't walk and you defecate yourself on a regular basis, apart from doing a very good impression of me on a Saturday night, you are not a leader.
No.
There's no way you can pinpoint, look a baby in the eyes and go, you are a leader, mate.
So he used to babysit Owen Farrell. Owen Farrell used to babysit his kids.
His kids, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know, I remember I used to, babysit's probably not the right word, but my goalkeeper coach at Blackburn, I used to, sometimes he'd drop off his lad and I'd look after him for the evening or whatever. I remember once that I thought it'd be a good idea to watch Saw. And he was only 12 years old, and I think the parents were pretty unhappy with me afterwards.
Oh.
Yeah, so since that moment I've realised that, maybe I need to learn a few things in that domain. Turns out Saw isn't suitable for a child.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
How did that conversation go?
I mean, it was awkward. The mother was a little bit disappointed that I'd chosen that film.
How did they find out?
The kid told them.
Oh, well, you've been let down.
I know, I felt a little bit then, obviously me and
it's throwing you under the bus,
He has
mate.
a little bit there. Yeah, not overly.
Well, you don't want to be cool, you can't be cool Uncle Rich if the kid won't let you be cool Uncle Rich.
I was like, look, I'll let you watch this 18, but you can't tell your parents.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, another tangent. Lovely tangent that's got nothing to do with Owen Farrell whatsoever, but what a captain. Keen to get Kieran's thoughts on Mr. Farrell, actually, and the rugby in particular. Mr. Kieran Wellington.
Hello, yes.
I was saying about Owen Farrell. Now, I'm trying to put this into words, but I'm struggling for me.
Oh, right, okay.
In that he is like a Ben
It's an
Stokes.
issue when you're a presenter on a Love Sport
It's
radio.
fantastic when you have zero vocabulary. I look at an Owen Farrell and I look at a Ben Stokes, and there's these certain figures in sport at the moment that you look at them and you feel confidence. And it's not even necessarily based on what they've done previously, and they've done some brilliant things previously, but it is just that aura that they have. I think that's the only thing I can say. And I look at Owen Farrell, and it's whether it is the smirk in the V where you're like, yeah, you're so confident, you're now making me feel confident.
Well, that's what you need, isn't it? When you're an elite level sportsman, your mentality can't be anywhere else other than I'm going to help win this game, or, in an individual sport, I'm going to beat the opposition. And, you can't, because, golf is a great example. Everyone's played around a golf, and it's the most frustrating sport. And then if you think, I just can't get it right, then you don't get it right. But if mentally you kind of clear your headspace, then suddenly it all comes together.
Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right.
Not in the mood for this today, mate.
What do you mean?
Not in the mood.
Aim for the moon and miss.
No.
You become one of the
No.
stars.
No.
Of course.
Stop it.
If you aim for the moon and slightly miss, you'll become a star.
No, you don't. You get sucked into Mercury's orbit and you die.
Well, that kind of killed
Wow.
that point. Is that where we're going?
There
Right,
we
fine.
go.
Stamp on my positive parade, why don't you? Kieran?
An unchanged team Eddie Jones has gone for this final.
Yeah.
But South Africa have made one change to the Springbok 15. Cheslin Colby has recovered from injury to start on the right wing. His reintroduction after an ankle knock sees Nkosi drop out of the squad in the only change to the 23-man lineup. What's interesting about South Africa's replacement bench is they basically go with 5 forwards on their bench and 3 backs compared with 4 and 4. You normally have an even split.
Yeah.
And that's because they just rotate their entire kind of tiring front row and they just relentlessly just hit you in the scrum, hit you at the breakdown. You know, they are just the most powerful side I've seen in a long time.
Powerful but boring?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hugely boring. And we hope it doesn't turn into an attritional final because no one wants to see that. And it was just so good. I'd love to get the perspective of a New Zealander on the England-New Zealand game because obviously we loved it because we played so well. But even New Zealand fans must have been going, oh, well, England are playing some beautiful rugby.
Yeah, I thought it was very telling, actually, that the Kiwis, basically to a man pretty much, took to Twitter to wish England well going into the final and to compliment them on how well they played, Sonny Bill Williams being one of them. And you think that it didn't look like that kind of usual PR thing where, you know, some bloke goes, OK, then, lads, you all need to tweet en masse and say how well England did. It seemed very, very genuine. And I think they just recognised that they were outclassed on the day. And that's a massive positive for Eddie Jones's men.
It certainly is. And you just think with all the stuff that's coming out of the camp and everyone's very focused and apparently they've been off their mobile phones to avoid distraction this week because I can imagine, you know, they get an awful lot of messages in the build-up to a final from, you know, anyone that's known them, I could imagine, all come creeping out of the woodwork. And there is a relentless focus there as well.
Yeah, and it's nice, actually, isn't it, to have a controversy-free World Cup so far. Which for an England side is quite rare, isn't it? There's been no dentist chairs, there's been no dwarf tossing, there's been no diving into Sydney Harbour off the top of boats, there's been no wag issues.
No.
We've been wagless, in fact, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Seen any of the wags?
No, true. And actually, it's been beautifully hosted as well, it has to be said.
Very beautifully hosted. Look, we had a minor issue with the Super Typhoon.
Of course,
okay,
forgot about that.
we had a minor issue with the Super Typhoon, but this is the kind of thing that happens.
Yeah, but that was nothing to do with the country itself, with the host, with the... Well, of course, it was kind of to do with the country, but you know what I mean? It was...
Yeah.
Whereas maybe there are other big tournaments that are coming up...
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know, there's question marks about. Credit to Japan, they've hosted it beautifully.
No, and that's one thing that stands out for me about this particular tournament in Japan as opposed to the one we're going to get in Qatar, which is that at essentially no point have I ever had to contemplate the idea that a homosexual might be beheaded at half time. You know, which makes a nice change, actually, doesn't it?
No, it makes you feel relaxed.
It does, certainly. You can chill out. You go there and feel like you can be yourself. And it's weird as well, because actually, if you go around Japan, there's this bizarre thing that, again, you just won't see in Qatar, which is women driving.
Yes. Yeah, no, they're very forward-thinking.
They are.
Very forward-thinking.
And as far as we know, there have been no monumental consequences from a religious perspective to the women driving. So... fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah.
Although, unless maybe that's to blame the Super Typhoon.
True.
Maybe that's what it is.
True. Kieran has joined us in the studio.
I have, and the back page of the Daily Mail today is rich pickings. And we were talking about Captain Fantastic Owen Farrell. One thing he certainly is marketable. And he's basically going to make the biggest deal in English rugby history if he lifts the World Cup on Saturday. So... Johnny Wilkinson, do you want to know how much his Adidas contract was when he returned from Australia in 2003?
2 million.
Is it spot on?
Yeah, I heard it before.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, you could have just played that off.
Sorry, okay. I don't know, like £20,000.
No, 2 million.
2 million, wow.
Yeah, amazing. But industry insiders believe Farrell will rocket past his earnings, which is unsurprising considering that was, you know, how long ago? 16 years ago. Yonks.
This is inflation.
And this whole team, as you were saying, controversy-free. We talked about Dina Asher-Smith when she won her World Athletics championship. And we were saying how marketable she is, and hopefully athletics, the Olympic ban kind of gets lifted and her sponsors can actually congratulate her if she wins an Olympic medal. Farrell is just going to make a hell of a lot of money out of this. Victory this weekend could also see the value of England's shirt deal with O2 soar above the current £9 million arrangement. So, the bonuses that they're going to get from this cashless RFU.
So hang on a minute. Let's just return back to this. So the RFU promised the England team a collective bonus of £6 million if they won the Rugby World Cup, but can't afford it. So we don't know what's going to happen with that.
No, it's going to be that one afterwards. Everyone's going crazy. Everyone's so happy. And then one of the members of the RFU comes in after the game, congratulating everyone. Lads, regardless, look, we're good for it, okay? These bonuses, we are good for it. You just wait. You might have to wait a little while, but we'll make it happen. Don't you worry.
Because that's the thing as well. I wouldn't want to owe money to the entire England starting 15. It's a quick way to get kneecapped.
I bet payday lowlanders are looking at this story and thinking,
here we go.
Spend a month in Joe Marler's attic.
Well, if
With
England
the
wins
others.
the World Cup, when the O2 deal expires in 2021, the RFU could reasonably expect £3 million a year inflation to £12 million, which is apparently what AIG reportedly pay for the All Black shirt. So, there is going to be some money sloshing around here. But another story that's come out of this run to the final, this epic run to the final, was the fact that Jason Robinson was the only black, Asian and minority ethnic player in the 2003 team. But this squad features 10. Including Carl Sinclair and Maro Itoje. We're actually speaking to Adam Jones later on in the show, hopefully, who is Harlequin's scrum coach, and basically was one of the main reasons Carl Sinclair, he'd only played a handful of games for England, got into the British and Irish Lions squad, because Warren Gatlin's obviously worked very closely with Adam Jones at his time in Wales, and Adam apparently rang Warren up and said, look, this boy's good. You got to pick him. And how good has he been this World Cup? He's been phenomenal. And basically, in the Mail today, he's being compared to Raheem Sterling. Everyone is talking about diversity and inclusion, and we've got a squad of 31 who personify that perfectly. Fast forward 16 years from 2003, and 1/3 of the squad are from BAME backgrounds. That is a powerful statistic. Cole Sinclair could 100% be a Raheem Sterling type figure. He breaks stereotypes.
When I look at this squad and I'm thinking, what marketing opportunities could there be for them? There's sometimes some obvious fits. You mentioned Owen Farrell. Of course, he'll be absolutely fine. Good-looking lad. Like, if they end up winning, captain.
Beautiful.
I mean, wow. Okay, right. So,
beautiful rugby player, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Great ball skills.
Absolutely. So you can see there's going to be some obvious opportunities. What other ones could there be within this squad? Just trying to think. George Ford, what could he advertise?
Well, no, I'd like to see, so do you remember Brian Habana?
Yeah.
When he raced a cheetah?
Right.
That was epic.
That
I reckon we
was good.
could get some of our wingers doing that.
Yeah. Sinclair, what's he doing? What's his advert?
I'd like to see him fight a hippo.
Okay, just because.
Well, he's been described when he runs as being like a hippo with a smacked bottom, which I think is sensational. What an image that paints. And it's also shockingly accurate. So I'd actually like
just
to see
him and a hippo in a ring.
Just going at it.
Yeah. I mean, that could end really badly for him,
the
though.
hippo.
Well,
yeah,
absolutely. What do you guys think? 0208 70 20 558. Not about the hippo specifically, but any marketing opportunities for these lads that they want to know. We want to know. Let us know. 8:30.
Love Sport. Your home is your castle, and you want to protect everything inside it from theft or damage. But are you being ripped off when it comes to your home insurance? A spokesmansaid.com is a price comparison website that helps get the best deals for you.
spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
Don't get caught out by rising energy bills this year. Leading price comparison site A Spokesman Said can help you save money in just minutes. Plus, sign up to A Spokesman Said to get the latest super cheap collective energy deals. These offers are such great value, they aren't even available direct from the energy companies. Savvy customers have saved over £10 million from collective energy deals. Go to aspokesmansaid.com and you could be saving big money on your bills.
With aspokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
If you're driving on a motorway and you see a red X sign overhead, you need to change lanes safely. Driving in a red X lane is an offence. Red X's are there for a reason, to protect you and others from danger. The lane may be blocked by a broken down vehicle, or road workers, or the lane may be needed for the emergency services. So if you see a red X, change lanes safely. Highways England, connecting the country.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
My mum and dad say that I don't need lots of sugar. I'm sweet enough already. So we used the Change for Life food scanner app to find out how much sugar is in our food and drink. It's surprising how much we found. So I put my detective hat on to find the healthier choices. Woohoo! Found one, Mum! You can be food smart too. Download the free Change for Life food scanner app today.
This is Love Sport.
Marcus has that strike in him. I've seen him in training so many times, and it's got to be hitting the target soon, you think, because he's had a few efforts and finally it goes in.
Of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they are through in the cup. Delighted to say we got Sam Pilger, football writer and contributor to the Man United fan show, on the line to talk about their performance. Morning, Sam.
Good morning. Hello.
Morning. It's all looking well for United at the moment. 3 away wins, looking strong. A good one last night. Fantastic free kick from Marcus Rashford. How was the performance?
I thought the performance was very good. I mean, obviously two weakened sides. I mean, I think Chelsea weakened even more than United, and probably United it was a game they should have won. Really, they had the stronger side. And they did. There's a bit of a momentum building. It's funny how these things can happen. The Liverpool game was the sort of, people were saying that could be the final blow for Solskjaer if they lose heavily to Liverpool. But instead they should have won that, but came away with a credible draw. And that's been three away wins on the bounce after that. So things are improving.
It's funny, isn't it? We talk a lot on this show about the mental aspect, the psychological aspect, where sometimes it just takes one and then it can start a bit of a cascade. Because it looked for a while they were struggling so badly away from home. Now all of a sudden there does seem to be a little bit of belief in the squad. Has anything changed over the last few weeks, do you think?
Well, I think you said, as you're right, confidence. I think he's dabbled with three at the back as well, which he played yesterday, three centre halves and two wing backs. That's obviously had success last night. I think Williams has come in and played with that sort of fearless approach. Other players, Chong and Gomez, have come in and done okay, but there seems one youngster who wasn't so hailed who's come in and really taken his opportunity, and some are saying should almost start over Luke Shaw. McTominay has grown in stature. The loss of Paul Pogba, who's probably going to be out for another month, is not as big a deal as it seemed to be. So there are a few things that are coming together. I should caution, though, the wins were over Partizan Belgrade and Norwich, looking destined for relegation, and a heavily weakened Chelsea side. So it's a good start, something to build on, but a far tougher task will lay ahead.
I guess it's a case of not getting carried away. You touched on Paul Pogba there because I guess you look at this United side and what Solskjaer's trying to build. Does Paul Pogba fit into the culture of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's trying to build?
Well, I suppose the easy answer is to say, well, I think Solskjaer wants him. I mean, Solskjaer is frequently said he wants to build the team around him. In terms of the culture, I mean, there's two Paul Pogbas. There's one that seems to be the sort of arrogant and agitating to move away, and one, behind the scenes that is seen as a team player and has the respect of his teammates, and is popular within the club. It is popular within the club with staff and players. There's an easy narrative building now that United have done okay without him, and I think the bottom line is he wants to move. That's quite clear. He wanted to move last summer, the summer before that. you can understand why. Since he's come back to United, he's won the Europa League, the League Cup. They've done okay, but he's not played in the Champions League. He's won the World Cup while he's been at United, but he's a player who seems like, unfortunately, feels like he's slumming it and wants to move on. So in terms of the culture, I think Solskjaer would like to keep him, but any player who wants to move away is not good for the culture. So it's a difficult one, really. I sort of hedge my bets there, really, but he could come back and make a major impact and be offered a new contract, but likely he could also come back from his injury in December and go through the motions, looking for their exit.
Yeah, indeed. A quick word on Rashford. Of course, fantastic finish last night, and people likening it to Cristiano Ronaldo's. If anything, it might have been even slightly better than Cristiano Ronaldo's. He seems to have found a bit of form as well.
He has, absolutely. I mean, again, things can turn around quickly. I thought, the Newcastle game a few weeks ago with that defeat, he looked like he was running on empty. People said he needed a rest. More dramatic people said, he clearly wasn't good enough. I mean, that's ridiculous. He's just turned 22 today, and has been brilliant for United for the majority of 3.5 years, and is a long way from his peak. I mean, it is funny again with the free kick. I don't have the statistic. I wish I did, but he has hit a lot of free kicks, and they've gone nowhere near the goal. That one he hit sweetly. And he has a moment that, like you say, like the Ronaldo one over 10 years ago, that will be replayed over and over again. But his conversion rate is pretty terrible. So if that starts to improve, that'd be even better for him.
Quick word on Daniel James as well. Of course, won the penalty last night and has a knack of winning penalties. It's fair to say he gets himself in the box. Obviously, great control. He does look like the signing of the summer so far.
I would imagine, and I understand that even United have been surprised at the impact he's made. I mean, this was a player who had played virtually every single game of his career in the Championship for a struggling Swansea. I think United saw a player there with potential at 15 million. He was worth a punt in a summer where 50 and 80 million were being spent on Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. He was more of a squad player that would be eased in gently. Well, he looks utterly at ease in the Premier League, and has become, arguably United's best player this season. So he's been a real surprise that he has come on as quickly, because he didn't start. The first game of the season against Chelsea, but then he came on and he scored, and that's almost set the tone for the season. Ease him in gently, few substitute appearances, and he said, "No, I'm too important. You can't move me." And in a season where a lot has gone wrong for Solskjaer, that's probably gone right.
And a word on Harry Maguire. How do you rate his performances so far in a United shirt? If you were to give him a rating out of 10 so far, how's he done?
I think maybe 7, room for improvement. I mean, I think last night, you were asking me in the morning after he sort of beaten twice by Batshuayi.
Yeah.
Wasn't great. I mean, it was a very good goal. Sometimes you've got to say, well, that's a great goal. But again, it wasn't. It seemed to be a bit of a mistake. There were about 2 or 3 United centre-halves around him. He got beaten. It seemed to get Maguire get beaten twice. But overall, I think it's probably followed the path that it was expected. I think United had to spend 80 million on and break the world record for a defender because he was better than any of their existing centre-halves, and I think he has played better than any of United's centre-halves they had last year. He has improved the defence, but he's. I think you probably expect more from an £80 million defender, and that will come. There's certainly room for improvement, but he has improved the defence, but he's got some room for personal improvement, I would say.
Yeah, and lastly, Fred McTominay in midfield, which isn't exactly, or you wouldn't think it'd be the long-term future. That being said, McTominay certainly has shown big signs of improvement, and he's looking more and more like the real deal. Fred maybe not so much. Does that concern you a bit?
Well, strangely, the two of them really came into their own in the famous PSG away win when they played together in midfield. That's probably Fred's best game for United. Also played well again in the first leg against Barcelona in the quarterfinals. But yeah, Fred is a bit of an enigma, really. That United signed off spending £52 million on him, a huge amount for a central midfielder, Brazilian international. I think there was maybe some hope that he'd follow the same path as Fernandinho, who obviously another Brazilian who came from Shakhtar Donetsk, but obviously they're poles apart in terms of quality. Yeah, that is a concern that the scouting department signed off a £52 million cheque for Fred. He's been overall quite average, and there's a wonder what he does. You know, he doesn't score goals, he doesn't set up goals. He's not a fantastic pivot player. You know, what does he do really well? So, you know, I think there's, we talked about room for improvement, huge amount from him. But McTominay, you know, again, he almost like James, you know, the weakness of the United squad has given him more opportunities and he's grasped them. I think he looked an absolutely fantastic player, and there was, you know, it shows the value of being patient, because I think under Mourinho, when he started getting his starts, people were a bit like, well, what does he do? And sort of they were unfavourable. Well, rather than people said that, you know, he's like Darren Fletcher, who didn't offer much, maybe because they're both Scottish, I don't know. But he's certainly come into his own this season. He's added goals, and there was an image of him last night directing more senior players into their positions and geeing everybody up. And I think, United probably only scratched the surface with him.
Yeah, I think so as well. There's quite an iconic piece of footage, actually. Well, it's become iconic just because it's got Sir Alex Ferguson in it, actually. But you know, where he is telling Jose Mourinho, you need to play him more. You need to play him more, about Scott McTominay. And, you know, I mean, he spotted a player or two in his time, didn't he? So you would imagine that he's right. And I think he is being repaid with that. I am quite excited with him because he has scored a couple of goals this year, and he's just got that right mentality. And that's what we talk about, isn't it, when Solskjaer's looking at building this culture, rebuilding this culture. Scott McTominay is someone who undoubtedly has that passion, that drive, and those leadership skills, you would have thought.
Okay, great stuff. Sam, appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Sam Pilger, their football writer and contributor to the Man United fan show on Love Sport. Of course, Sundays 9 till 10.
Look, I want to whiz us through some stories that you might have missed. Okay, so there's quite a lot going out. There's one about Kick It Out. Kick It Out, the anti-racism organisation, has been criticised over failures of communication concerning how it handled an allegation of sexual assault made by a member of staff in 2017. Apparently they've been slow sharing information, and they've been being looked into by the Charity Commission. So that's something, isn't it? A judge has given Bury extra time. Bury have been given more time to settle their debts in a bid to avoid a winding up order. So all is not quite lost at Bury.
I don't fully understand
I don't fully understand it, because it kind of has happened, hasn't it? But yeah, anyway, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. There is also some more allegations of, can you guess this about Russia? What do you reckon it's going to be about Russia?
Go on.
Well, one of the architects of last year's World Cup and Russia's triumph to host it has been accused of sending an email on how to bribe FIFA voters to award it to its country.
Right.
Classic, eh?
Classic Russia.
Classic Russia. If they're not Novichoking the living heck out of some poor people in Salisbury, they are basically buying World Cups.
There you go. And Macclesfield is another
Still
one.
an absolute... Oh, what?
Macclesfield won't be paying their players this month.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that then?
Just because they're struggling financially quite badly. So, I mean, look, there's a few clubs that we're worried about. Macclesfield is certainly one of them, and that came out today. They won't be paying their players this month.
The story that makes me a bit angry is that Premier League academies are warned of potential ban on headers.
Yeah.
It's part of the sport. There's a ball. You head it. Sometimes. That's it. Go and play tiddlywinks. Go and play chess. Go on. Go on, I dare you. No, because football's good fun, isn't it? Carry on playing football, carry on heading the ball, stop being so soft.
Okay, this hasn't come in yet, but this, if it does come in, would be for the academies, possibly. We don't know what age yet, but it is a discussion that is taking place, and they have received a letter, haven't they?
A strongly worded letter, yes.
We love a strongly worded letter.
I love a strongly worded letter.
We do. We're going to be speaking to Chris Howard, Suburban Gooner, next.
Giving your team the coverage they deserve. Love Sport Radio. Are you paying way over the odds for your car insurance? The spiralling costs put people off driving, full stop. But you're a careful driver, and realistically, you'll only need an insurance payout if some halfwit cuts you off on the M1. So you shouldn't be forced to pay massive car insurance premiums. And you don't have to. Go to price comparison site aspokesmansaid.com today and find out the best value car insurance deals on the market. Don't pay the price for not shopping around.
Aspokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
Driving too close to the car in front gives you less time to react. You may not realize that you're tailgating. Leave a 2-second gap between you and the vehicle in front. When it's wet, leave a 4-second gap. By staying back, you give yourself time to react. Stay safe. Stay back. Highways England, connecting the country.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
How are you? How are you really? Modern life can be busy, and sometimes it's easier to look after others before looking after yourself. But there's only one you. And making small changes to your lifestyle now could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. So take the first step to a healthier you with our free How Are You quiz. See how you score and get personalised tips and support. From how to eat a little healthier to turning a 10-minute walk into exercise. Just search One You.
This is Love Sport.
Love Sport Breakfast, me, Rich Lee, Patrick Christys, here with you until 10 a.m. We've been speaking a lot of Carabao Cup, because, of course, there were 3 games last night. United, successful.
Can we just an overarching point on the Carabao Cup? I think it went from everybody's least favourite, most pointless cup to actually maybe one of the best.
Overnight.
Because you play the kids, and we all want to see the kids, right? We all want to see what talent you've got in the stable, and we all want to see that play out and just watch some exciting football. Last night, 5-5, Arsenal, Liverpool. What a game of football that was.
Well, this is it. If you look at the under-18 results from the weekend, you'll see a lot of 5-5s, a lot of 6-5s, because that's what happens, and that's what happened last night. Delighted to say we've got Chris Howard, Suburban Gooner, on the line to go through that game at Anfield with us. Morning, Chris.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Hope you're... Look, it was a fantastic game. It was a crazy game, a game that Arsenal should have won. I think that's fair.
Yeah, well, when you are going ahead at 3-1 and then you're up at 4-2 and then they bring it level at 4-4, but you win, you get that fantastic Willett goal at 5-4. You expect to go and win the game, but it is Arsenal at Anfield, and they do score late goals against us. And Unai Emery is a man who doesn't know how to keep a lead.
Could have maybe done with someone like maybe like a Granit Xhaka figure just sitting in front of the back four. What do you reckon?
Provocative. I like it.
What's the latest with that, mate? Seriously, what's the latest from a fan's perspective? He's still not apologised, has he? Would you guys have him back?
Personally, this is just my personal opinion and a few people that I speak to. I don't really see that he's got that much to apologise for. He was abused quite heavily by a portion of the fans. I think there's probably mitigating circumstances that you could potentially argue. I think that I've got a sneaky suspicion he'll play this weekend, and I also think that the fans it'll almost go completely 180 on it, because I reckon there's probably a few people in the stadium that realise that it was probably a bit wrong to go as mental as some of the idiots did, and so I reckon he's going to garner a bit of support. But of course, that only goes as far as his performance. So he'll get that initial sort of support and backing, I think. But if he has another stinker like he did against Crystal Palace, then that won't last long.
Let's talk a couple of positives, Martinelli and Ozil.
Oh, Martinelli, I love him. He's a bit like Alexis Sanchez. He's a bit like, I think he's a bit like Luis Suarez as well, if you think about the way that he presses the ball. And I think it was Rob Holding last week said that he's an absolute nightmare to play with in training because of that. And he looks like he's got that poacher's finish as well. The weird thing about Martinelli, though, is Emery, and I think he has said that his best position is as a wide forward, but he looks like he's very comfortable as a centre forward, definitely.
Yeah, he does. Looks real, and he can head a ball as well, actually. He looks like he's got it all, this kid, seriously. But Ozil did do a very good impression of a bloke who possibly could be in a starting lineup on a regular basis. But he doesn't necessarily show it often enough, does he? He was very good last night, though.
Yeah, he was really good. I think there was a few people that had thought that he wouldn't put in a performance because it's away from home. He has a big team. I mean, you can argue that there's quite a lot of kids in the Liverpool team, and it wasn't the strongest Liverpool team that was out there. But he has done exactly what every Arsenal fan would want, which is give Unai Emery a headache, because we have been terrible in the sort of final third for the last 6 weeks or so, and we've cried out for someone like Ozil, and particularly in those home games like Palace at home or this weekend Wolves at home. They're the sort of games where you'd expect someone like Ozil to dictate. So my only sort of hope with bringing him off on 65 minutes, and Emery's kind of intimated it, is that he'll start this weekend.
He looked genuinely happy. That assist that he did, that nearly went out, played for a goal kick, and he kind of drags it back with his foot. Ball gets banged in the net. He was then right next to the Arsenal fans, wasn't he? And he looked actually like a kind of lights went off moment, where he'd gone from being quite, dour, I suppose, really, very straight-faced, a little bit like the Jack D of central midfield. And then he just broke, and he just started kind of laughing hysterically. And I thought, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the moment where we're going to start seeing full throttle Ozil again.
I suspect it's more just relief that he's actually on the pitch, to be honest with you. If I'm completely honest with you. I mean, if I was in his position, he just wants to play football. All right, he earns an astronomical amount of money. People can question him and his demeanour, but ultimately, if you've been sat on the sideline not playing football, and then you come on, then you're having a really good game, because he was having a good game up until that point as well. He's probably just over the moon that he's actually got on the pitch.
Not so positive, of course. 5 goals conceded. You've obviously got quite a back four with quite a lot of experience, it's fair to say. Just to concede 5 goals is pretty disappointing. I want to touch on the goalkeeper as well, because he's one that I saw a lot last season for Reading. Really liked him. It was a funny game for him last night, where there's a few that have gone in that you feel like, maybe could have done more without necessarily being hugely at fault for any.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one for me, which kind of stood out, that I thought Emi Martinez probably could have saved, was that Origi shot from the edge of the box, because it was quite close to him and it was hit with some power. So I don't know, I guess that's probably, I mean, from my perspective, I played goalkeeper when I was a kid, not to any kind of level though. So it's kind of, that's the sort of thing that when you get the top flight Premier League goalkeepers, you normally expect them to save those sort of ones when they're that close to the body. I don't know if that's just me being harsh on him, but it felt like that's the sort of thing that you'd expect.
Yeah. In terms of the back four, Mustafi, thoughts?
I thought he played okay, apart from 2 mental moments, which is exactly the sort of footballer he is. He can play 90 minutes and have 2 stupid moments, and we lose 2-0 or 2-1, and it's him that's the cause of those. So quite why he feels like he needs to slide at every single opportunity is beyond me. It was comical stuff at the beginning and actually comical stuff at the end, because he shouldn't have given Origi that much space, but he's done exactly that. And as a result, we're out this morning, although to be honest with you, it's the Man City Cup, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, no, great stuff. Chris, really appreciate you joining us.
Cheers, man.
That's Chris Howard there, Suburban Gooner. Right, Patrick, you ready?
What?
The draw is taking place as we speak.
Oh.
Do you want to know who Man United have got?
Go on.
They're at home.
Yeah?
Against?
Yeah?
Colchester.
Yes! Get in!
The Colchester players are actually on TV. They're absolutely delighted, as you can imagine. And from Man United's point of view, no disrespect to Colchester, this is an opportunity.
We're into the semi-final, boys.
It's not guaranteed, but there's an
We're
opportunity.
into the semi-final. It's as good as done. It's over.
Oxford United, you want to know who they got?
Not really.
Okay.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, I have to. Yes.
Man City at home. So Oxford United versus Man City, Man United versus Colchester, Aston Villa versus Liverpool, which of course means that it is Everton versus
Leicester.
There you go. So that makes up the quarterfinals. Well, there you go. Look, big fixtures for both Oxford and Colchester. Oxford, would they want that away from home? Actually, saying that, Man City away, you're probably looking at a bit of a
cricket score.
Could be difficult, but that'll be a great night for Oxford. Oxford on fantastic form. Colchester to go to Man United in the quarterfinal. Stuff that dreams
just to get
are made
out
of.
a bit, you know.
Just to get out of Colchester,
just
for the evening.
Just to leave.
Yeah.
You know. Do you reckon it's going to be like the North Korean team at the South Africa Football World Cup, where some of them just defected? Just seeing what life's like on the other side.
Yeah, quite possibly. Looking at this draw, and if we were to predict, if we were to forward pace, look, it's likely, no disrespect, but it's likely that City and United are going to go through, you would think. You got Villa, Liverpool. Now, if Liverpool again put out the kind of team they're putting out, and Klopp with the mentality that he's got, there's a good chance, and Villa will take this more seriously, certainly, there's a good chance that Villa go through. Everton, Leicester, just got a feeling that Leicester are going to nick that. That could be a really, really big semi-final. If you've got Leicester Villa, United City,
yeah,
that'd be a really good semi-final.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Massive. I think Leicester, again, are looking at it.
Leicester have got a chance, you
Leicester
know.
have got a real chance. They can beat any of the teams of the day. It's good. The Carabao Cup has come alive. I don't know whether or not I'm just delirious this morning, which is, by the way, not beyond the realms of possibility. I was at an award ceremony last night. Wow. So maybe I am just being a bit delirious, but I think the Carabao Cup has just become my favourite thing recently. The calibre of games, the fact that we're seeing more youngsters in the Premier League, and that's great. But now we're seeing even more in the Carabao Cup, and I think that they're looking at the likes of, some of the Manchester United players, some of the Chelsea players, and they're thinking this can be their chance, and it seems possible for them now. And we're seeing such a high standard of young talent. Brilliant.
We are. You know those people that name drop from time to time? We've all got a friend who drops a name every now and then.
Yeah, I do.
Are you going to mention your award anymore today?
Thanks, mate. I was at an award ceremony last night. I won. I got a plaque.
Yeah.
I got a plaque that
this
says Patrick Christys, winner, 30 Under 30 Award, Radio Academy. Thank you very much. 2 tickets to the ARIA Awards going as well, lads. So, not taking either of you. And yeah, fantastic all round, really.
It's a real award.
There were loads of people there, mate.
This is Love Sport.
Home insurance is vital. You don't want to end up paying through the nose when something goes wrong. But are you being charged way too much for your home cover? Are your insurance premiums simply too much to bear? It doesn't have to be that way. A spokesmansaid.com is a price comparison website that trawls the internet to find the best deal for you. Don't pay the price for not shopping around. Visit a spokesmansaid.com and start saving today.
spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
Making small changes to your lifestyle could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. Start now by taking our free How Are You quiz. Just search 1U.
As a parent, you always want to protect your kids, so make sure their vaccinations are up to date. Measles and whooping cough are on the rise and can cause severe illness, but childhood vaccinations can help prevent them. Are your child up to date? Find out more. Search online for NHS vaccinations.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
You probably think you're pretty good at multitasking behind the wheel. I mean, you have to multitask to drive. So what's wrong with checking your phone? The thing is, your brain simply doesn't work that way. Even a quick look at a message, or firing off a quick reply, affects your concentration and makes you less able to react to hazards. If you use a mobile phone while driving, you're 4 times more likely to crash. Think. Put your phone away.
Love for breakfast, me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you until 10. Thankfully, our producer cut Patrick off mid-flow there. He was talking once again about this damned award.
What an award.
Oh, man, please.
Yeah.
Right, the next hour. Do you know what the next hour is?
The award hour with Patrick
no.
Christys and me.
It's the Power Hour.
Power hour.
Because we've got Phil Vickery, Andy Good, and Adam Jones.
Oh.
The combined weight of a truck.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true. I might have just made that up. Big hour. Stay tuned. 9 o'clock.
On digital radio, online, mobile, and smart speaker. This is Love Sport News.
From the Sky News Centre at 9, the Conservatives say they do have a clear election message despite not delivering Brexit on time. On the day the UK was supposed to leave the European Union, Transport Secretary Grant Shapps is warning a Labour government would only prolong the process.
In this election, there'll be a really clear choice because there's only one party who are saying, vote for us, we have the deal there, we'll have this done by Christmas.
Jeremy Corbyn will use a speech later to attack tax dodgers, bad bosses, big polluters, dodgy landlords and billionaire-owned media. At least 65 people have been killed in a fire on board a train in Pakistan. It's thought some died as they leapt from the burning carriages in the Punjab province. Twitter has announced it's going to ban all political advertising, saying such messages need to earn support, not buy it. Full details of which ads will be included in the restrictions will be revealed next month. Facebook is being urged to follow suit. The man famous for shouting this is stepping down today.
Order! Order! Order!
John Bercow is quitting the House of Commons as Speaker after 10 years. He's been praised by Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn for his service to politics. In sport, England head coach Eddie Jones has stuck with the same starting 15 that beat New Zealand to face South Africa in the Rugby World Cup final, and captain Owen Farrell says they couldn't be in better shape ahead of Saturday's showpiece in Yokohama.
We need to build up as we had done every other week, and as Eddie said, we're nice and calm and relaxed at the minute. We've done all the preparation in terms of on-field stuff. We'll make sure the mental side of it builds up from now.
And a children's book aimed at explaining Brexit to kids goes on sale tonight after a study found a third of UK parents wouldn't be able to. I Want to Leave This Book uses colourful animals to depict some of the country's top political figures. That's the latest. I'm Kit Bradshaw.
Love sport.
If there's one thing you can be certain of these days, it's uncertainty, particularly when it comes to getting a good deal. At SEAT, however, we're certain we can help with that. Get 0% APR finance across our entire SUV range, plus 2 free services on us until October 31st. Now there's a great deal, if ever there was one. Because they take, we give. SEAT.
Solutions Personal Contract Plan. Minimum 36-month contract on Arona and Ateca, or 48-month contract on Taraco. Minimum 10% customer deposit. Registered by 31st of December 2019 from participating dealers. 18 plus, subject to status. Indemnities may be required. SEAT Finance. Visit SEAT.co.uk. Service plan covers first 2 consecutive services.
Love Sport Radio. On digital radio, online, mobile and smart speaker. This is Love Sport Breakfast with Richard Lee and Patrick Christys.
Love Sport Breakfast, Love Sport Radio, me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you for another hour. Let's touch on the headlines this morning. England versus South Africa. Team news, England are unchanged as Carl Sinclair and Johnny May pass fit. Richard Keogh has been sacked by Derby for gross misconduct. It was a crazy night in the Carabao Cup. 5-5 draw at Anfield. Liverpool going through. 18-year-old Curtis Jones scoring the winning penalty. And the FA demands Spygate answers from Liverpool. I am here with Patrick Christys, and it is the Power Hour.
Power Hour. Why is it the Power Hour, Rich?
It is the Power Hour because we're going to be speaking to Phil Vickery shortly. We'll be speaking to Andy Good, of course, former England fullback. Adam Jones, ex-Wales prop and current Harlequins scrum coach. Oh, what an hour.
What an hour, mate.
An hour of rugby goodness.
Yeah, can I just let people into something I've done during the break, which I think might be awful?
You can.
Just quickly, while we wait for Phil Vickery to get on the line. So I have 2 friends of mine who used to be my next door neighbours, sisters, both getting married, and I am certain that one of them's invited me to their wedding. I'm not so certain that the other one has. Fair enough, by the way. But I haven't RSVP'd until now, and to cover my tracks, I've sent them both an identical message saying thanks for the invite.
Nice.
The date is well and truly saved. I'll see you there. So one of them now is going to have to knock me back from their wedding, which I don't think they're going to do. So now I've got 2 weddings.
2 for the price of 1.
Exactly.
Congratulations. Right, big hour, as mentioned. Very special guest. Delighted to say we've got Phil Vickery, England World Cup winner in 2003, captain in 2007 final. Delighted to say he's on the line. Morning, Phil.
Good morning, boys.
Good morning. Right, you sound upbeat. I can hear positivity already going into Saturday.
I think the word pumped.
Yes.
I want to use this morning.
This is it. We're
pumped and ready.
I've seen the countdown. We're less than 2 days away. How are you feeling about Saturday?
Oh, listen. The conversations at home, the interviews, the interesting, social media, the build-up, and I know we knew it was happening after the All Blacks game last weekend, but actually as the days draw closer, it is actually happening. It's like, this is actually happening. It's like, wow. And the excitement and all the bits that go around it. And then suddenly I was being asked questions yesterday. And I'll tell you what it does, boys. It just brings back all those memories again. And it's kind of like, And that's, amazing. And to think, 16 years ago when we won it, and I know 12 years ago to have played in the final again and defend that trophy from 2003 was amazing. But I'm talking to you as a Rugby World Cup winner, but as an England captain who played in another Rugby World Cup final, who no one will remember for that. So all I'm thinking is, boys, go on, go out and do it.
Yeah.
You can make history, and genuinely now, I know we watch a lot of TV shows and a lot of reality TV programs, and you hear people talking about life-changing things. To become a world champion, to win Rugby World Cup, will change those boys' lives forever. It changed my life genuinely.
Fantastic.
And that is a very, very special thing to be able to do.
Oh, exactly. Well, look, Eddie Jones has named an unchanged side. Is that the right move as far as you're concerned?
I think it is. I don't know how you could possibly drop someone from the performance that they made against the All Blacks. You could perhaps identify perhaps a couple of areas where maybe they want to look after certain individuals or trick plays, but I think the all-round performance, I think that for me is the key to that England game last week. Yes, individual performances, of course, standout performances from certain players, but it was the collective. And the way they played and the way they performed, you couldn't change the team. And they'll be ready for Saturday evening, full of confidence, but also as well, just remembering, boys, if I had to give some advice to anybody, not that I want to give advice to give to Owen Farrell or any of those boys, because they're ready and prepped and good to go. It's the reset button. Last weekend really means nothing because it's about Saturday evening. Big games, big finals often bring things closer together in the sense that people get nervous, they get tight, they get a little bit edgy. So when we start playing percentages, often percentages aren't risky. So it brings it back into that, not comfort zone, as in I think anyone's going to take it easy, but in that zone of if I don't make a mistake, then I'm not going to sacrifice anything. I'm not going to be look-see. I'm not going to jeopardise the team. But with doing that, brings everything in, which brings everything together. And even in the final in 2007, really, as an England team, people said we didn't have a right to be there. Oh, we did, because we won our games and we got to that final.
Yeah.
South Africa had a much better tournament than us as far as a team. Was there anything in it in the final? No. There was a score, and Mark Cueto was his try, not a try. But so what I'm saying is that often finals just bring things together, and I just, boys, I just want them to go out and do it and bring it home. What an amazing time that's going to be for our game, and just for sport. I'm a rugby fan, of course I am, but actually I'm a sports fan. I love seeing teams being successful because it inspires people to want to get out and do things and believe that they can achieve. So, listen, this week I don't know what I'm going to be like Saturday morning. Get myself sorted out with some. I don't know. I can't go in too much caffeine early. I'm going to have to get some mint tea down me to start with.
I was going to say you're going to be like just organising. Come in, Phil. You're right, mate. What are you doing? Just reorganising the sock drawer. Just reorganising the sock drawer, and then I'm going to do the underwear drawer, and then I'm going to do.
Do you know what the lovely thing is? I'm actually going to go into because I'm at home. I'm going into Gloucester Rugby Club. And one of the best things about Rugby World Cup in 2003 coming back was I remember walking around Gloucester Rugby Stadium, for those who don't know, they call it Kingsholm Stadium. I remember walking around with the fans with the trophy. It was me, Trevor Woodman and Andy Gomson. We walked around the stadium. I tell you what, boys, the noise. But those are the fans who, when I arrived at Gloucester as a 19-year-old working on a local farm, and I fell in love with the club and they fell in love with me, and they were a huge part of inspiring me and in my career. And to think that on Saturday morning I'm going to go back to Kingsholm. I think they've opened one of the bars up there, and I don't know, 200 or 300 people, Gloucester fans, people that will know me, and just to hopefully share in that moment, to almost go full circle. I'm really, really excited about that. It'll be amazing.
And this is what it means, doesn't it? It does bring communities together, it brings people together, and it brings out the best, actually, I think, in our society when you have, frankly, a country just smashing it on the world stage. We all put our differences aside, we put an arm around each other, maybe buy each other a pint and cheer when we win, which is good. But
no, we do, but it's an important point you make about sport. Yes, I'm rugby, but I'm a sports fan. I love watching sport. It doesn't matter what it is. Hockey, netball, basketball, baseball, American football, cricket, whatever, sports time. What sport does, when we put down our sort of, big old hearts sometimes and put our brains into gear, you go up and down the country at the weekend, football, rugby, whatever it is, you will find communities of people coming together to represent that area, that town, that club, that history. That's what sport is. We're watching elite professional sport at the weekend in the England rugby team, but for 99% of people, that's not what sport is. Sport is about volunteering. It's about amateur friendships, camaraderie, sense of belonging, sense of purpose, coming together, can-do, highs and lows, emotions. And that's what I fell in love with. I think that's what sometimes we forget that bit. And I think rugby of all sports just brings that together. Because let me tell you, boys and girls, come Saturday morning up and down the country, there will be thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people all cramming together in sports clubs, in kitchens, in bars, in bedrooms, watching TV screens, PCs, to support an England team to become rugby world champions. Wow.
Exactly.
That's what sport is, boys.
We need to get you in that England dressing room before the start of the game. But what we're doing here, because obviously on Love Sport, all day Saturday, we're doing all the build-up, we're doing all that stuff. So what I'd really like from you, Phil, if it's all right with you, is just what would, if you were stood in that changing room, just 10 minutes before kickoff, you've got, you're the one there who's going to be giving that speech for. What would you say to those England lads?
Listen, boys, if you really knew me, and if there's anyone listening to this show who played with me, they'll be telling you exactly what I'd be saying. But listen, I'm emotional. I needed emotion to play. I think emotion plays a huge part of my life, and as it does today, and I care deeply about it. Whether you care about me or not, you know what? I don't care, sunshine. I am ready to go. But I was still in that change room at the weekend, and actually, you have to think it will be quite calm, because they've gone through a lot of emotions in a week, and it's about making sure you don't overdo it, in the sense of you can't play the game, train like Tarzan, play like Jane. It's no good to anybody that. Yeah. You've got to go out on Saturday. If I stood in that change room on Saturday, and I was trying to think, I'm not going to tell you word for word what I said in the change room, because I wouldn't be allowed to, but it'd be along the lines of, we're here. You look around the room, I'll tell you what, you look each other in the eye, because this is a special moment, a special time where you can make history and you will never be forgotten, and we can do this.
Lastly,
we've earned the right in this changing room to go out and do it, and obviously there's a bit more attached to it, but it's about having the I'm trying to think the word I'd use, but having the minerals, having the backbone, and having the spine now to go out and do it. We've talked about it. We've got the ability. We've got the skill. Go out and do it, and be proud of each other. And obviously, I can't say it. I'd say it in the change room because it doesn't sound very good on radio. But you get my gist. I tell you what, boys, I'd be that emotional. I'd be crying. I'd be all over the place, really. But just hoping everyone's sort of taking notice, apart from people going, "Oh my God, he's off again." They used to call me Churchill, They used to call me Churchill, not because of the nodding dog, but because I was like I do my big speeches. But I love it, boys.
I'd follow you into battle, Phil. I'd follow you into battle.
Lastly, because I can hear the emotion. And with that, does anyone sleep before a World Cup final? When you are that emotional, you're that pumped up, do you still manage to get some sleep?
Yeah, I think you do. I just think you just learn to deal with it, and what is good sleep in a build like this. I mean, yes, you're tired, and because sleep and rest is such a huge part of recovery and preparing for the game. It's almost as important as kind of the physical side of it. Particularly this week, because you're not going to change anything really physically within a week. It'll be purely about resetting, getting recovery right. Yes, looking at individuals and looking at little nuances within the team that you're playing against, but really it's about that preparation, the physical preparation and the psychological preparation and readiness for that game on Saturday evening. So it's tough, but the boys are, being good spirits, they're in good hands. They've got good coaching set up. The backroom staff and the medical teams and all those nutrition teams will really come to the fore now, and the strength and conditioning guys. Because you have to remember, all the data's been collated, because they're all wearing the GPS systems now, not just when they play, but when they train. They'll know the workloads, they'll know what heart rates are like. It's all been studied. They've been wading every day, so they'll be looking at trends. They'll know how people are physically, and it's just making sure mentally that guys are rested and ready for action. But you have to remember also, a lot of the guys in the team have been around a long time. They played in big games. Well, they haven't played in World Cup finals, but they played in big test matches for England, in Grand Slams, in Lions tests, big games. So it's not like you have some guys that it's not, of course, but you're around a group of guys who this is what you do for a living. That this is what they've done and been in these kind of situations before. So they'll draw on all that experience.
Great stuff. Phil, absolute pleasure having you this morning.
Oh, mate, top stuff.
Oh, boys.
Top stuff. Come on, England.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
We are now.
Oh.
We are now. Brilliant. Great stuff. Phil Vickery there, England World Cup winner in 2003, captain in 2007. In fact, Phil, very, very quickly before you go, prediction.
Love sport.
You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage.
Henna men. Pants and pads.
You're
discreet. Masculine.
You're
secure absorption zone. Buy online or in shops.
You're
Tenna men. Keep control.
Urine?
No.
Hi, I'm Barry. I'm a retired school bursar from Chingford. I thought I was paying too much for my energy and went onto a spokesmansaid.com and found that I could reduce my costs overall by £568 per annum, and I'm very grateful for that help.
With a spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
Before you set off on a long journey, remember to check your vehicle. Are your tyres correctly inflated? And are the treads deep enough? Have you got enough fuel? Is your oil level right? Checking your vehicle doesn't take long, but can prevent a breakdown or accident, and save you money. So, before you set off on a long journey, check your tyres, fuel, and oil. Highways England, connecting the country.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
This is Love Sport.
That's for breakfast. Me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys here with you until 10. Well, I certainly feel pumped after that. Patrick?
Oh, yeah.
Pumped up. Phil Vickery there giving his thoughts on the game coming this weekend. And delighted to say we've got another guest, fantastic guest, to go through this game. Andy Good, former England fullback, is on the line. Morning, Andy.
Morning.
Morning. Keen to get your thoughts on this game coming up on Saturday. We just heard from Phil there, and he's certainly very pumped up and ready to go. England will be going in as favourites. How do you see the game playing out?
It's going to be very different to last week, I think. The way the South Africans play, they bring a huge amount of physicality, a game that is based around set-piece dominance, kicking for territory and risk-averse rugby, really, at times in their own half. So England have got to sort of accept that challenge of the set-piece battle. We know driving line-outs are going to come. Physically, we know we need to bar up, and then the opportunities will come off the back of that. And listen, this England team have got better and better week on week throughout this World Cup. To get to the levels that we got to last week against New Zealand, with our intensity and our physicality for the whole 80 minutes, it was probably the best England performance of any team I've ever seen. So, we are big favourites for this weekend, and fingers crossed the guys can accept the physical challenge that's coming and impart our game on it and lift the trophy.
Look, exactly. And look, Phil Vickery, we had the more emotional side of it, I think we can say. He obviously wears his heart on his sleeve. Churchill, he says his nickname was, and you can see that. With yourself, I'd just like to ask a bit more of a kind of technical side of it in terms of how do you think, because obviously it is an unchanged lineup this for England, what are the areas that you reckon we're going to be, where's this game going to be won and lost essentially for you?
I love the way you're saying that Vix doesn't know a lot about rugby. Just
No,
talks about
that's
it
not what I'm
passionately,
saying. He's massive and he'd hit me, so don't say
whereas,
that.
because I'm a fly half, I've got a bit of brains about me. But no, listen, this game's going to be won and lost with the physical battle. If we can nullify what South Africa bring in terms of those threats, the set-piece battle, if we can get parity or dominance there, they haven't really got a plan B where they can go to change the point of attack, to move the ball around as fluidly as perhaps New Zealand could have. And we saw what New Zealand tried to do when they were trying to run it from everywhere. England's defence soaked up everything that they threw at us. Now, for a bit of context, England have conceded only 43 points at the World Cup so far in 5 games. That's an average of just over 8 points a game. So teams are having to work very hard against us to score points. Our discipline's been phenomenal, but our defensive capability to soak up anything that any team's thrown at us so far has been huge. Now, South Africa aren't a team that will throw it around willy-nilly. They've got a brilliant half-back pairing in Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard with their kicking game that they try and impart pressure on the opposition with. So that kicking battle and the physicality is going to be key to winning the game. And once we get a foothold in their half, our attacking game is pretty fluid. George Ford has been wonderful at fly half for us in terms of front foot possession and picking out the right options in attack. Obviously Manu Tuolangi is a beacon for us, ball in hand, but also using them as a decoy run to get some of our quicker players, the likes of Johnny May, Elliot Daly, and the likes Watson as well into space to exploit that. So the balance of our game is really good at the minute, whereas we know South Africa have got one way of playing, that's a kicking game and a powerful game, and if you stop those, they're sort of scratching their heads for ideas of what to do after that.
Indeed. Green King Pubs are planning to serve around 50,000 pints before 12 p.m. on Saturday. How many do you reckon that we served afterwards if we win?
Well, hopefully a hell of a lot more. So listen, the atmosphere, there's over 500 pubs showing the game, 500 Green King pubs showing the game up and down the country. So the atmosphere is going to be huge. The whole nation is behind the boys. And what I love about being English is whatever the sport, whatever the world tournament, we get behind it. Whether it be the ladies' football back in the summer, the cricket as well. Now, I've got people coming up to me that have got no clue about rugby week in, week out. They're massive England fans now, and they know everything there is to know about the game. So you can't beat watching the game, the final this Saturday, in a Green King pub. The atmosphere is going to be huge.
No, exactly, and I think that's one of the things that pubs do better than anywhere else, arguably, which is that at some point during an England win or an England try, there will be a few people who ordinarily in a pub would never speak to each other. But as soon as the ball gets touched down there on the right side of that line, people are just going to be hugging, screaming, best friends will be made. It is a fantastic experience, I'm sure. Can we get a prediction off you?
Listen, we're favourites going into the game. You talk about the psychological advantage. South Africa got dominated by New Zealand in that first game. We're now playing a South Africa team. South Africa looking at us going, they dominated New Zealand in the semi-final. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a close victory. It was absolute dominance. So I'm going to say that England are going to win this pretty comfortably as well. I'm going to say by about 10 points.
Good lad.
It's going to be tough to start off with. Of course it is. They're going to bring their physicality. The beating heart of their team is Dwayne Vermeulen running off the back of a scrum, and they've got some big physical ball carriers. Etzebeth in the second row is a monster. But we've got the ability to soak that up, impart our game on them, and then coming away with a good victory. And then the Green King pubs will be rocking.
Yes.
Yeah, not wrong. Want to get your thoughts on the this forward pack? Obviously, the Vinopola brothers, Itoje, Underhill, Curry. Just how good are they?
Phenomenal. And the beauty of this team now is, whatever the result on Saturday, a lot of these guys will make the next World Cup cycle in 4 years' time. So, Curry and Underhill are young pups. They've got at least one, if not two, probably 3 World Cups left in them. Mara Itoje's a youngster, but he's playing like a man that's got 100 caps. Billy Vunipola and Mako Vunipola. Mako looks a lot older than he actually is. He looks about 55, but he's only about 28, I think. So we've got players that can back up not only this World Cup but go into the next cycle, and their physicality, their dominance at the breakdown, and just their ability to put teams under pressure and force errors upon the opposition is key. And South Africa have got Faf de Klerk at scrum half, who's a live wire. If we can get Itoje smashing him, if we can get Itoje putting him off his game, scragging him by the shirt and making him a second or two late to a breakdown, then it's a massive win for us. And this forward pack, led by Curry and Underhill, the kamikaze kids, as Eddie Jones calls them, they've been brilliant the whole World Cup.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, look, obviously we're doing all the build-up here on Love Sport on Saturday, so every time we get someone on who knows their rugby, we just want to ask them, imagine that you're giving that speech right before England walk out. You're in the changing room there, and you've got 10 minutes or whatever it is until the game gets underway. What is it that you say to the lads?
Well, I was someone that I spoke a fair bit in the changing room, but mine was all about processes and understand your roles. There's guys that speak passionately about what it means to play for England now. You go back to the 2003 World Cup, Martin Johnson captain, a man of few words, but when he spoke, my goodness, you listened. And one of the most important things to me was when you hear the guys talking about that final, there's a bit of chat in the changing room, but then you get to the tunnel, and Jono used to always turn around and give a final thought to the boys just before he went onto the pitch. And he turned around, he just looked in everyone's eyes, and he knew that they're ready. So sometimes you can talk too much. Guys like to get revved up, but Farrell's a pretty smart cookie as captain. You can see how emotional he can get at times, but he's a super intelligent footballer. And what I'd be saying is, don't play the occasion, just play the game and play what's in front of you. And that's key to understand that it is a World Cup final, but it's just another rugby game. And if you do what you've done to get to this stage and you do it again and do it a little bit better than last week, we're going to win the game.
And of course, you've got an interesting perspective on this one, given that you were on loan in South Africa for a period of time. What's the rugby culture like out there?
Well, it's like football is to us in England. It's their main sport. It's religion to them, basically. And these guys, there's a lot of issues in South Africa as a country at the minute, across the board. And Rassie Erasmus, the South African coach, spoke this morning about you just hope for the couple of hours at the World Cup finals on that they can unite a country. And get through the issues that they've got, and everyone just jumps behind the Springbok jersey, and things improve off the back of potentially a World Cup win. So it means the world to South Africans. Obviously England winning the World Cup, the rugby fraternity will go wild. Across the men's game, the women's game, kids will want to play the game and be Owen Farrell or be a Billy Vunipola. But in South Africa, it is their absolute number one sport, and the effect that it had on the country when they won the World Cup in 95, they won it in 2007 as well. It has a huge effect on bringing a country together, and hopefully they won't be celebrating too much because England will lift the trophy, and then we might get Brexit done as well, but who knows?
Hey!
You never know. Stranger things have happened. Great stuff, Andy. Appreciate you joining us.
No problem.
Cheers, mate.
It's Andy Good there, former England fullback.
See, that's the difference between me and you. We've got Phil Vickery there, who I'm just going to put this one out there. I think I'm in love with Phil Vickery.
Okay.
That's a phrase I never thought I'd say. I think I'm in love with the guy. Right? Yeah. He's a sensation. I'm Phil Vickery. I'm basically. Before a game, I'd just be an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not doing him a disservice there. I'm saying I'm even worse than Phil Vickery. I'd be an absolute mess, mate.
Yeah.
I'd be there, tears streaming down my face, picture of the Queen in one hand, Churchill in the other, just talking about what we've overcome as a nation, and I'd be going on rants about, what a fantastic island it is to live on and what it really means to everyone. Whereas I think you'd just be there going, right, okay, boys, I've done the stats, and we're better than them, so let's just go and make it count.
Well, this is it, because you've made this announcement. You're in love with Phil Vickery.
I'm in love with Phil Vickery.
I've got a feeling that Kieran's in love with Owen Farrell.
I think Kieran is in love with Owen Farrell,
yeah.
Yes.
I very different kind of love. I don't know who I would choose as my particular hero in this squad. In fact, it's definitely not Martin Bell, who I can see now, who is on after us, of course, 10 o'clock. Do stay tuned for that. I don't know who my hero is in this squad just yet. Is it Vunipola?
Yeah. Yeah, although I don't think you'd be the one loving him.
I mean, no. Carl maybe Carl Sinclair. Maybe just for...
Oh, Carl Sinclair. I love a bit of him. Yeah. This is it, right? When you think about that 2003 World Cup squad, that winning team, it had such incredible characters in it. Yeah. You liked of your Lawrence Delalliers, you liked of your Johnny Wilkinson, your Martin Johnson, all of these people that are iconic figures in their own right. I think over the course of this World Cup, we've started to see that emerge.
Yeah.
We've started to see it pick up. There are the variety of different types of person and those characters, and that's what it takes to go on and win a World Cup.
I just figured it out. You got Phil Vickery, obviously an ex-player. I am going to go Johnny Wilkinson because he was a thinker. The fear of failure, the fact that he was so deep. That's my kind of character.
Yeah.
Which I know bores the heck out of you, but that's who I would associate with.
I just like going on overly emotional diatribes about our proud seafaring past, whereas you deal more with with reality.
Strategy.
Yeah. Things that might actually affect the game.
They might actually win the game
Yeah.
rather than a sheer roller coaster of emotion that could be an absolute liability to a squad.
Oh, mate, you catch me right at the top. It's brilliant for everyone. I'll lift you up my shoulders. You get me right at the bottom. We're in big trouble, lads. We're in big trouble.
9:30.
This is Love Sport.
It's cancer, they said. My first thought, let's just say it wasn't money, but time off work for treatment and trips to the hospital, paying the rent, and the cost of living doesn't go away just because you're living with cancer, and Macmillan can help with that too. My advice? Take their advice, soon as. I did.
Macmillan, right there with you. Call 0808 808 0000 now.
Hi, I'm Dean. I work for a successful shipping company in Suffolk. Ever since I heard about people's success with the spokesmansaid.com, I knew I had to investigate for myself. Every time I need to compare car insurance, home insurance and energy bills, I always contact a spokesmansaid.com. This year alone, I saved over £260 on my car insurance and also £585 on my energy bills. I saved big through a spokesmansaid.com, and you could too.
With a spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
If you see somebody showing any of the signs of a stroke, you don't have to think about it. You just dial 999. Use the FAST test. F. Face. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time. Time to call 999 if you see any one of these signs. Act fast, make the call, dial 999.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
This is Love Sport.
You know, I'm going to miss being there. But, you know, you've got to look forward and be excited about the opportunities going forward. So one more game and then start thinking about the next challenge and being involved back in New Zealand with Super Rugby.
Warren Gatland there giving his thoughts. Delighted to say we've got yet another special guest.
We do indeed. Adam Jones, ex-Wales prop and current Harlequins scrum coach as well. Adam, thank you very, very much for joining us today. Have you got a little bit of mixed emotions going into Saturday?
What do you mean?
Well, in the sense that obviously I'm assuming that you'd rather England won over South Africa, or is that wishful thinking?
I'm not really, to be honest with you. I hope Sink and Marla do all right. That's all I want. I'm not massively bothered by the result. But yeah, probably as long as those two boys go okay. Although they could be unbearable coming back if they do win. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Talk to us a bit about success. He's obviously made a name for himself anyway, but making a real name for himself in this World Cup. Everyone's favourite. Talk to us a little bit about him. Tell us a bit that we might not know about him.
He's probably not like he's quite to be animated in the field. He's first of all he's a very nice kid. He's lovely. He's probably gets because of how he is sometimes on the pitch. People probably see him a different way than he actually is in real life. He's very, very family oriented. His mum is like literally everything to him. So he does everything as in whatever he's doing now is to for his mum. So he's a great kid, and he's done amazingly well. He's it's a funny one with him. People are saying he's coming of age and whatnot, but he's played 3 tests with the Lions 2 years ago. So he's played in the biggest pressure environment you could probably play in. So this is probably this World Cup's been a walk in the park for him. So he's showing he's one of the best out there at the moment, and I'm chuffed to the boy.
Yeah, well, look, absolutely. I just want to get your views on Warren Gatland, because obviously it's his last game coming up. He's clearly one of the best at what he does. I mean, what's your experience of him? And you sad to maybe see him leave the Wales setup.
Well, look, the thing with Gats is he's not like he coaches, but he's oversees everything. He's very good at understanding what makes people tick, and he picks up in it early on, whether it's a kick up the backside or, a soft, a year or, just an arm on the shoulder or something like that. So he understands, he picks up really quickly. And, certainly when he first came in the Welsh team, he had a lot of boys who had different sort of, things that made him tick, like, Mike Phillips, Gavin Henson, these type of guys who, needed different things, and he picked up on that. And, but no, personally, I wouldn't have got to what I did without him. He's, barring my parents, is the biggest influence in my career by, a long shot. And, I played sort of 6 years under him, played under 2 Lions tours with him, about 4 years ago when he dropped me, I wasn't massively pleased. I wasn't his biggest fan, but, because obviously you don't quite, you don't agree with decisions when you drop after such a long time and whatnot, but certainly since the years have gone past, it's a lot easier. And, what he's done for Welsh rugby is he's changed the course of it. And, we lost to Fiji in the 2007 World Cup. He comes in and wins the Grand Slam first year. 12 years later, we've won, 3 other Grand Slams or 3 championships and, Lions tours and whatnot. So he's changed, he's, as much as the 70s was a golden era for Welsh rugby, this certainly his tenure has been a golden era as well.
Yeah. Is it a bit of a shame that his tenure's ending with a bronze final that neither team really wants to play, it seems?
No, it's a tough one, isn't it? Obviously, I think the only thing for Wales and New Zealand is the fact New Zealand, Steve Hanson's leaving. Gats is leaving Wales. Steve Hanson used to coach Wales. It's always a big game to play the All Blacks for the Welsh. So I think if it was a Wales, I don't know, a Wales England, so maybe not England, but if it wasn't anywhere near than the All Blacks, it would be a hard one to get up for. But no one really wants to play it. It's a tough. In 2011 when Wales played Australia, I was injured, so I wasn't. I was quite lucky to miss that one out. But yes, I think the fact it is their last games as coaches will probably add a little more extra spice, and the fact as I said, it is the All Blacks, and it's not. A lot of these boys wouldn't have played the All Blacks, and certainly they'll give it one last go to give Gats a good sending off.
Talk to me about Joe Marler. Is he as what's he really like as a character? Because obviously I only see it from the outside perspective, but he looks like a proper character.
Yeah, he's a good boy, Joe. He's good fun. He plays the clown a lot, but he's way more switched on than you'd want people to believe. He knows how to wind people up. He knows how to play the game, as we say, whether it's in the media, whether it's with the coaches, with the fellow players. He acts the clown a bit, but he's very intelligent, and he likes to give you a false sense of what he's actually like. But no, he's a good fella. He's very good rugby player. Very good rugby player. Unfortunately for him, Mark Vinopola is around at the same time as him, who's unbelievable. So the fact that England have got 2 players like that in the same positions, very good for them. But no, he's a good boy. I enjoy his company. I've used to when I was still playing, he used to crash at my flat in Guildford a fair bit, and I played against him a few times, and the fact I did very well against him when I played against him, so we always had that little bit of respect or whatever you call it against me.
You always had one over him. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot made of obviously the injuries and whether Wales could have made the final without the injuries they've had, and of course they come up against the All Blacks, and I know a lot of people predicting this could be a heavy defeat given the quality of the All Blacks. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't think for me this regardless who Wales put out, it's not, I can't see it being a heavy defeat at all. I think they're far more. It's like in no other sort of. They're always in the game. They're so fit. They just keep coming at the opposition, whether it's defence or attack. So, I'd imagine All Blacks are favourite. They probably pick the stronger team, but any side with Alwyn in it, they're going to be right up for it, and they'll keep going for the whole 80 minutes, which is what is required against the All Blacks.
Great stuff. Well, look, I'm going to ask for a prediction from both. I know that you don't have all that much interest in the game on Saturday morning, but a prediction for the Wales game and a prediction for the final.
Oh, I think the Wales game will be 24-21 to Wales.
Ooh.
And I think England will win by 18-9.
Oh, yes. You
Fantastic.
can come back on, mate.
I love how precise. Fantastic. Adam, that's brilliant. Really appreciate you joining us this morning.
No problem.
There you go, stuff. Adam Jones, ex-Wales prop and current Harlequin scrum coach.
What a power hour that was, by the way.
Indeed.
What a three that was that we've just had them racked up back to back to back. We had Phil Vickery, Andy Good and Adam Jones all giving their take on it, and every single one of them thinks England are going to win. They can't all be wrong.
There you go. And so who have we got in the final section of part of the Power Hour?
We have got
Kieran Wellington. There you go. We have got that coming up next. It's 19 minutes to 10.
Love Sport Radio, the station giving fans a voice.
Full of skill, full of flair, full of desire. Fulham FC is full of fire.
Oh, what a goal!
Be there at Craven Cottage as Fulham continue their surge towards the top of the Sky Bet Championship. Watch the unmissable action live in SW6, home of London's original football club.
Absolutely brilliant.
Grab your tickets now at fulhamfc.com.
Hi, my name's Bob. I'm a retired civil servant from Durham. I used the advice that a spokesman said gave me to haggle with Sky to reduce my monthly payments from £86 per month to £43 per month, which was a saving of £774 over the 18-month contract. A nice little result, if I say so myself, but it was only due to a spokesman said on his brilliant advice that I was able to do a deal for the new contract.
With a spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
Whoa! Look how much saturated fat is in these chocolate biscuits. It's surprising how much is in our food and drinks. For us kids, eating too much saturated fat can lead to harmful fat building up inside, which we can't see, increasing the risk of heart disease or stroke when we get older. So be food smart. Download the free Change for Life food scanner app and start making healthier choices today.
Have you been injured in a road traffic accident, an accident at work, or an accident anywhere? It's your right to claim. You could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Harris Fowler are specialist personal injury solicitors with a 96.9% success rate, offering no win, no fee. Call 0800 213 214 to find out if you have a claim. 0800 213 214. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitors. Win rate based on cases issued and finished between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2017.
Love Sport.
Love Sport Breakfast. Me, Richard Lee, Patrick Christys, here with you for another 15 minutes or so, and it's a brilliant Martin Bell who's up after us.
Yeah,
so for the final segment of the show, we've had some big guests this morning. Some big guests.
Physically as well as kind of metaphorically.
Indeed, and we've saved the biggest till last. Not
me.
physically.
That's
You see,
really
because you said physically and metaphorically, I meant
put
like.
this on me.
Huh? Because you've now made it sound like I'm saying this in a negative way. I mean, in terms of his intellect.
Good one.
Thank you. Mr. Kieran Wellington is in the room.
Yes, I am indeed. Patrick Christys.
Intellect.
I'm pitch perfect. I am pitch perfect. That's what I am. Patrick, back at the Times today.
Yes, mate.
They have been covering this Spygate story since September. We've talked about it on the show before. There's been a development.
There has, indeed. So Liverpool have been asked by the Football Association to respond to the Spygate revelations that they paid £1 million to Manchester City after they complained that their scouting system had been hacked into. So the Times initially reported this in September, as you said, Kieran. But then since then, the FA have been a little bit like, well, hang on a minute, we should have been involved in this because this was a breach, wasn't it, of our rules. You're supposed to treat everyone. Essentially, the rule is treat others as you would like to be treated, which is as naff as that.
Right.
And so the FA contacted City last month asking the club to provide information, including the findings of a forensic computer search. City are understood to have responded to the FA, and the governing body has now written to Liverpool to ask for their response. Neither Liverpool nor City would comment on the FA's request. Doesn't this all just seem a little bit dodgy? So that Liverpool initially, because Liverpool had some staff that worked at Manchester City, They still had access to their scouting network. They then are believed to, well, I mean, they paid £1 million, and they obviously did it, didn't they, really, I would have thought. Hacked into their, and well, you don't just ship out £1 million, do you? Yes, paid £1 million to City because they may, or crucially now, but legally may not have, hacked into their scouting network. It's a bit weird because you'd have thought City would want to make more of this and show up the people who are now at the top of the league, maybe get some kind of points, whatever, wouldn't you? But City aren't. £1 million means nothing to Manchester City. Why are they both being so hush-hush about this, do you think?
I don't know. Kieran?
Do you actually know?
No, I don't know. I don't, because then look, we could wildly speculate.
Let's do that.
Which we like to do. So
what did they find on that laptop?
Look, the thing is now, it's big. It is big business, the academies, and clubs are bringing in players younger and younger and younger all the time, and finding ways to do it legally, we believe. And look, some of the best, well, in fact, the two best at the moment are Chelsea and Man City. The best academies in the world, I would argue, right now, Chelsea, Man City. They are hoovering up the best talent. So naturally, would you want to log into their app and find out who they are planning on bringing in next? Yeah.
Do you think Liverpool have unearthed something about City, i.e. how they go about doing various bits and bobs?
This is the wild speculation part.
And that now they've both had a word and gone, right, lads, shall we just not throw each other under the bus here?
Again, wild speculation.
But probably true, though, isn't it?
People might come to that conclusion.
Yes.
If they're if they're almost like, look, what's a fair exchange here? And then, let's not kill each other because actually it's going pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, wild speculation. Kieran?
Yeah. I mean, what's going to come of this? I mean, we're not going to hear anything about this. The FA are going to keep it under wraps until such a time in which they come up with a conclusion. Probably don't fine anyone. Probably don't ban anyone.
This is it. I suppose do you know what it reminds me of? That time when I hid in your wardrobe. And of course, initially you were very, very annoyed. But then because of what I saw, what was happening, then it was that agreement. It was almost like, look, Rich, don't do it again.
Yeah.
But then vice versa, I was like, okay, I won't. But I won't tell anyone what was actually happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that, right?
Yeah, no, it is like that,
exactly,
I think.
Yeah.
And it's a fair comparison.
To the grave, mate. To the grave.
Now. Bend it.
Did you?
Yeah, I'd say.
Probably a good job.
All right. I want to move on.
Yeah, pretty best.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said some interesting things yet again. And every time we come on this show, I feel like every time United have played, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will say something wildly... Like, he speculates more than we do. The club and the coup.
The club and the coup.
So he said about last night's performance, where they edged past Chelsea, understrength Chelsea 2-1. We've travelled a lot in the last week. We've got a good team spirit and camaraderie. It shows the character of the team. We were excellent with fast-flowing football. That's Manchester United. We're trying to get back to that. They scored from 2 set pieces.
Yeah. By the way, they were
individual brilliance.
No, they were. There's a slight improvement. It's one of them. People believe what they read. People believe what they're told. So I sometimes feel with Ollie that he's kind of going down that route, and sometimes it's a little bit. There's an art to it, and I feel some of the managers have got it spot on, where they will subtly be feeding you the message that they want to feed you. I feel with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's a bit too obvious, which can sometimes be a bit cringe.
Yeah.
Whereas Pep whispers sweet nothings in your ear.
Yeah.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just goes, does it? Really?
I really didn't need that at this time in the morning. But thanks for that, Kira.
He's got his headphones turned right up as well.
Right up. That really got a splitting headache. No, I just feel that there's a subtle art to it. And the point is, when you're giving an interview, we were taught this in media training, and Marcus Rashford, we'll touch on his media training shortly because fantastic last night. But no, we were taught this in media training that ultimately you're asked questions. Yeah, you're asked questions, but really it's a case of just giving the answer you want to give. So before you go into the interview, you already know what you're going to say, and you're asked a question, you basically answer what you want to answer, but don't do it too obvious so that they think you haven't actually touched on my question at all. So there is a subtle art to it. I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has quite got it right. I don't think Marcus Rashford has. Bearing in mind that last night was a cup game, which is an important point here. It was a cup game. It is, however, Marcus Rashford's birthday today. So he was asked about his birthday and what this result meant.
Marcus, congratulations. A birthday tomorrow. Is that the best possible way to celebrate tonight?
Yeah, definitely 3 points is the way that you wanna start a day like tomorrow.
Did anyone correct him?
Don't think so. No, 3 points in the cup. It's the best way to celebrate a birthday.
Yeah.
But this goes back to the media training, and I just feel with Ole Gunnar...
Does it, or does it go back to a fundamental lack of education?
It goes back to the media training.
Right, okay.
Or maybe a lack of concentration is what you meant.
Concentration,
Lack of concentration is what it was. Or
Do you reckon there's a chance that he didn't know that this was a cup game?
Yeah, there was. Because, look, I and for those that have been tuned in throughout the show, I'm sure many of you have.
We're very sorry.
We're so sorry for wasting the last few hours of your life.
There's absolutely no chance he doesn't know that this is a cup game. There's literally Carabao Cup literally posted around the stadium. When he comes out, there's a big kind of banner that says Carabao Cup.
Right, but
it can't be that stupid.
It is true, and I've been involved in squads where there is a lot of players that won't know who you're playing at the weekend. That is 100% true. They won't have a clue who you're playing against the weekend until, say, the day before. And what will often happen is the schedule will go up for the week.
Sorry, mate. Hang on a minute here. Because you train for it, don't you? So you'll train for how the other team sets
like tactical,
up. It's like tactical training. So what do they think is happening?
No, that only happens. So ordinarily, like the Monday, Tuesday, you'll be playing five-a-sides, doing shooting training, etc., etc. Then it might be on the Thursday, Friday, you do some tactical work. But the plan goes up for the week, normally at the start of the week. And you'll look, you'll be like, oh, we haven't got a game Tuesday. That's cool. I've got a night off. Okay, we're away on Saturday, so we're travelling on Friday. And that's pretty much the extent of it. Most players won't know who they're playing at the weekend.
That's shocking.
But it's true.
Mate, that's
Why
absolutely shocking.
does it matter who the...
Of course it matters. What are you on about?
Why does it matter?
If there's a big difference between playing City and Oxford United, isn't there?
Well, no, but, okay, tactically,
How are you
yes.
Yes, of course there is tactically.
Which you only have to worry about on the Friday.
Right, but this is what I don't get, mate, because I would have thought that at training they'd go, right, look, this is how City's set up. This is how we're going to play. This is going to be our formation. You need to deal individually with the threat Kevin De Bruyne poses, the threat that so-and-so poses. But they don't bother with that.
It's clearly what they do in the rugby. England have had two totally different game plans against Australia and New Zealand, and they've executed them both perfectly.
So ordinarily, if it's Saturday game, Monday, Tuesday training will be physical. So it'll be five-a-sides, it'll be shooting, it will be pattern of play. That only really comes in on a Friday. So it's only really on a Friday that we'll be like, right, the team we're playing against will line up with a 3-5-2. So therefore we're going to go with this. And on the Friday you'll go through some shape for half an hour, maybe some set pieces, and then you travel or you have the game. So no, most don't actually, it's not like on the Monday, right, we're preparing for Man City. Like, no, on the Friday it'll be, this is how we're going to line up tomorrow.
Wow.
Shocking.
There you go.
Right, I just want to touch on Spurs briefly.
Yeah.
Because the Spurs players' agents, they want a bit more money for their Tottenham clients because of this warts and all Amazon documentary that's about to hit our screens at the end of Warts and all Amazon doc.
That's the title of the documentary.
That's the name of the clinic across the road.
It's led to agents questioning whether players should be getting paid extra to take part. But they're literally doing their job. They're not acting. They're not.
Well,
they're not having to do anything extra for this.
I mean, people that go into Big Brother get paid, right? Sometimes.
They're so different. This is literally, they're just setting up some... Maybe Potts should get something extra because I'm sure he has to do like a few interviews.
Effectively,
but the players are just playing football.
No, effectively, the TV company, they've got free actors that are acting for free.
You're acting, mate. Okay, so are you acting on a Saturday when all the cameras are watching you play?
But they get paid for that.
Yeah, they get
That's
paid.
the point.
They're still getting paid, mate.
They're stars of this show, and they're not getting paid for it.
There's a belief that if the players who feel they already do enough have to do extra interviews, then they should be getting paid for it.
Yeah, all right, if you do extra interviews.
The issue they've got is that Tottenham's contracts are notoriously watertight and that they don't have a case. But it's caused some anger, and I wouldn't expect the players to be going the extra mile for something that they feel they're not getting paid for. So perhaps they're just like going to have a really average season, so Amazon have got absolutely nothing to go on. just do the bare minimum. Just finish.
I kind of
don't make it dramatic.
To an extent, I'm on the player side here. I think if you are the stars of the show, and it isn't necessarily going to be positive PR a lot of the time. A lot of the stuff will be quite negative, and you're not getting recompensed.
Yeah, okay. You said that like a kind of preacher. And now we get recompense. When the day comes, you will be recompensed.
That's his like proper day job. That's what he goes and does after this show.
Oh dear.
Another story for you. Kick It Out have been condemned over serious governance failures by the charity Watchdog after poor communication led to the slow reporting of an alleged sexual assault. The charity commission concluded a year-long case finding failures by senior management and trustees of the anti-discrimination organisation, and there's also been concerns over the kick it out staff. They've cut back on a lot of staff, been overworking their staff, and you have to think that obviously with all the sort of stuff that's gone on about racism, perhaps this charity needs to do a little bit more if it wants to take the moral high ground on stuff like this, and rightly so in most cases, but you've got to look in your own house at some point.
I suppose you do, and look, it remains to be seen, what exactly has been going on here. But I do wonder, partly, as to whether or not they are just busier, unfortunately, now. They seem to be dealing with more things, more high-profile cases. They're not getting help from the FA, particularly, or UEFA, or FIFA. I think no one can deny that it's an incredibly worthy organisation, stacked full of, from my experience of them anyway, very good people. It's just a case of them being a bit overworked, and that should be a massive concern to people, to be honest with you.
It should do, and obviously all businesses at the moment, or most businesses it seems, are having to make job cuts, and our office is certainly quieter than it used to be. It's just overworking the players, the workers that kick it out. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Kieran. Anything else to finish the day?
Kieran's last day.
A little bit more positive.
You want positivity?
Let's finish. Well, we had Phil Vickery, who's given us enough positivity to last a lifetime.
That guy.
Absolutely. What a guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
Rousing.
If you wanted anyone to be your captain, in the last World Cup final, we have Phil Vickery. I mean, we only lost that game because the TMO was ridiculous. Yeah. Phil Vickery would have guided us to a World Cup, but I'm hoping Owen Farrell, and there's a lot been made of Owen Farrell, how people hang on his every word, which is strange because he's got a deeply ugly Birmingham accent.
Right, fair enough. Wow. Sounds like listening to
We're just talking about discrimination and we move on to that.
Yeah. Look, can I just say, by the time we get New Year, we might have had England Cricket World Cup winners, England Rugby World Cup winners. The women have done very well. Our men's football team are doing very, very well. We will have had a general election. We will have had Brexit sorted.
Wow.
What a bright new world we live in.
Fantastic. That's a positive way we finish this show. Thank you very much.
Oh, Britannia. Britannia rules away.
We're back tomorrow.
Love sport.
Full of skill. Full of flair. Full of desire. Fulham FC is full of fire.